The requirements for summoning the divine dragon: just a ring and a stone. This ring was a keepsake from my mother, and this stone before me is the long-lost heartstone. When the man's ring came into contact with it, the gears of fate began to turn anew. This man, dressed in rags, looking like a beggar, is named Russell Raymond. And the Raymond family is the founding family of the empire. The soldier, looking at my clothes, clearly couldn't believe his eyes. As I entered the city, the soldier even turned back to stare. He was incredibly curious. What could have possibly happened to reduce a founding father of the empire to such a state? Guessed I must be going to the magic tower to become a mercenary. The thought seemed to amuse him greatly, because my current status is lower than a peasant's. Hearing this, I was extremely reluctant, but there was nothing I could do. A few agonizing moments later, I found myself in Camelot, the capital. Countless towers soared into the sky here. Soon I arrived at the foot of the magic tower. Gazing up at the towering structure that pierced the clouds, I knew that all the kingdom's protectors were trained here. I once strived to enter this very place myself, but things didn't go as planned. To prevent further disgrace to our family name, after my father died fighting against the empire, we were forced to flee our castle. My mother and I were separated during the escape. To reclaim my family's land and honor, I must enter the magic tower. But for me, it's an impossible dream. I was expelled from the academy, even before I could apply to the magic tower. It's because I failed to meet 3 of the academy's requirements. This is the first time this has happened in the entire history of the academy. I'm almost 9 years old, and I still haven't reached the second circle as a mage, and the academy knows about my physical condition. My mana veins are narrowed. I was born with thin and fragile blood vessels. I can't absorb more than a certain amount of mana, and I can't release much mana either. This is the greatest punishment a mage can suffer. It's like my path to magic has been blocked. So throughout my mercenary career, I tried everything I could to reach the second circle, but I'm still a third-rate mage. While I was waiting in line to register, the supervisor announced that registration for today's temporary work was closed. Even though the people below kept complaining, what could they do? When your luck's down, you can't even drink water without choking.
Meanwhile,
2 people were discussing the museum's need for temporary ritualists, but it turned out they just needed a cleaning crew. Some might find it humiliating, but I just looked at the sunset in the distance. The evening glow was so beautiful, but did I really have a choice? I reached into my pocket and pulled out my wallet. Looking at the few remaining coins, I wondered if I'd even be able to afford my next meal. The scene changed, and I found myself at the Louvre Museum. It was the largest museum in the empire, and only open to the nobility. I felt a little awkward, because I had been there before. Then, the headmaster began to explain the rules to us. If because of one person's mistake anything gets damaged, they'll probably spend the rest of their life behind bars. But I think he's overdoing it, because a lot of these things are fake. As I passed by a doorway, something made me stop. I looked up. This place looked familiar. It felt like I had seen these fantastical creatures somewhere before. Just then I felt a movement in my pocket. A strong vibration. It puzzled me. Was there a bug in there? When I reached in and pulled it out, it was a ring that was vibrating. The ring my mother left me. Looking at the room before me, I felt like my body was no longer under my control. It moved on its own and opened the door. I walked straight ahead. Moments later, I arrived at the skeletal remains of a massive dragon. The closer I got to the remains, the stronger the feeling became. Was it trying to tell me something? I slowly closed my eyes. When I was very young, my mother brought me here to play. It was the happiest time of my life. Following in my mother's footsteps, I came to this place. Something behind the wall caught my attention. Found you. I immediately went behind the wall. A stone came into view. It was an ancient dragon heart. Looking at the ring in my hand, a dragon's heart and a ring that looked like a dragon's eye. Could there be a connection between them? I was deeply puzzled. Why did it lead me here? When I put the ring on my finger, it stopped vibrating, but the dragon bone and dragon star showed no reaction. An eerie silence filled the air. I froze, completely stunned. I let out a long sigh. I guess I was just being delusional. Was I still hoping for something to change my fate? How foolish of me. Just then, the ring erupted with a surge of powerful magic. In an instant, I was transported to a mindscape. A gigantic wing unfolded before me. It was a colossal golden dragon. Its gaze seemed to hold all of creation in contempt. Its voice boomed, "You are worthy of becoming the cornerstone of a new myth. For the sake of myth, I shall grant you another chance." That's when I realized the long-awaited destiny, and the gears that turned the world had broken. And now, they were turning once more. Meanwhile, a voice slowly roused me from my thoughts. It sounded angry, but the voice was incredibly familiar. A book slammed against my head, jolting me awake. Instinct took over, and I quickly sat up. I know you have excellent grades, but sleeping in my class? You've got some nerve. Confusion washed over me. Was it all a dream? It was Professor Hubert, but I remember him being gone. And why did everyone look like they did when we were children? What was going on? Then I looked down at my own body. I couldn't believe my eyes. Have I really returned to the past? Then I looked at Professor Hubert with a puzzled expression. He noticed I was different today, but the punishment still had to be carried out. I was sent out of the classroom to stand in the hall, thinking back to my past self. Is this time travel? But this ability transcends even magic. And what the dragon said, is this the second chance he spoke of? At that moment, my ring vanished. Could my mother be helping me? Just then, the classroom door suddenly opened. The professor said dozing off wasn't like me. I could only sincerely apologize to him. He then asked me to come to his office at noon. Despite being punished, I didn't feel angry at all. I even felt a touch of warmth. I couldn't believe I was hearing his voice again. Just then, a fist came flying at me from behind. Damn it. The scene suddenly changed. 3 tall guys with sinister grins were standing in front of me. The chubby one immediately tried to attack me, but the guy with the bleached hair stopped him. He was afraid of getting caught by the teacher. Turns out Blondie wanted me to take notes for him, but he got furious when I ended up getting punished and made to stand. He was really angry. He told me to follow him to the restroom. These 3 bullies, cowards at heart, were just like I remembered them. Meanwhile, a dialogue box suddenly popped up in front of me. Mission: escape the bullies. Teach the 3 bullies who are picking on you a lesson. Reward 1 magic stone. This piqued my curiosity. I reached out and touched it, but it went straight through my hand. Was it an illusion? Just then a voice interrupted me. Listen up. A guy with bleached blonde hair said, we're in the academy. You know running is useless, right? But if you're scared, then by all means try it. I readily accepted his challenge. At that moment, the mission didn't matter. All I wanted was to teach them a lesson. After years as a mercenary, compared to facing death, this was nothing. Actually, they seemed kind of amusing. Blondie was waiting for me. He started taunting me, but I didn't hesitate to fire back. I took notes, I said. You pathetic little... My words left them completely baffled. Is this kid crazy? With that, the fat guy lunged at me, but I sidestepped him easily. In that same moment, I leaned in and whispered, You're trash. Then I delivered a swift knee to his gut. He vomited up last night's dinner. The skinny guy froze, stunned. Then he charged towards me. The next second, a fist the size of a sandbag landed squarely on his face. He went flying, landing 8 feet away. Even the punk with yellow hair was impressed. He scoffed. I'm only worthy of learning these amateur moves. Just as expected from a disgrace of a family, he sneered. Using magic in fights is forbidden at the academy. But these guys have the mana-infused weapons. Then they charged at me. Seeing this, I didn't move a muscle. I calmly waited for him to approach. I stopped him with a single hand. He was stunned, completely taken aback. His hand trembled. Then, with a slight twist of my wrist, the sound of cracking bone filled the air. The punk with yellow hair cried out in agony. The pain brought him to his knees. He begged for mercy. If your opponent is strong, get in their face! But if they are weak, you bully them? You're nothing but a coward, picking on those weaker than you. You dare to mention my family name, you pathetic worm. You dare to disrespect the name of the Verpetti family? Seeing my dominance, the yellow-haired punk was terrified. I tightened my fist once more and slammed it into his face. The wails of the 3 punks echoed through the restroom. Moments later, from now on, behave yourselves. If you want to die, then come on, he yelled. Then I left that chaotic scene. When I reached a deserted hallway, I collapsed to the ground. Did I go too far, I wondered? I felt exhausted, completely drained. All I wanted was to find a place to sleep. Just then, the dialogue box reappeared. Quest complete, reward, low-level magician. A golden stone suddenly materialized and dropped. I stared at the stone filled with curiosity. Then the dialogue box prompted, consumable. Does this mean I'm supposed to eat it? I thought. I hesitated. After all, even a savage wouldn't eat a stone. But I could try, I mumbled. I popped the stone into my mouth. Surprisingly, it was crunchy and tasted like chicken. At that moment, a surge of magical power rapidly coalesced around me. In the next second, it erupted from within my body. Then it swiftly converged towards my heart. I felt a burning sensation in my chest. and I could clearly sense the flow of mana. In moments, all the magical power was absorbed by my magic soul, and this energy was incredibly volatile. But fortunately, it was stabilizing. I stared at what was happening in disbelief. If I used this method, I could definitely overcome my narrow mana veins, my family's decline, being expelled from the academy, becoming a third-rate mercenary mage. That was my destined future. But now I could change it all. The scene shifted, and I found myself in an office. Professor Hubert was already waiting there. He kindly asked me to sit down and said, "You're different now." "Are you having any trouble?" he asked. Because he heard that I was being bullied by other students. Professor Hubert is still the same as always. In my past life, he was someone who, until the very last moment, would never give up on me. I've always been incredibly grateful to him, and I never had the chance to properly thank him. I think now I have that opportunity. I then reassured him that he didn't need to worry. I told him, "Thank you so much for looking out for me, Professor." Hearing this, he immediately responded, "As a professor, though it's clearly my duty to care for my students. However, I noticed you dozing off in class, so there must be a consequence." He then opened his book and instructed me to complete, within a certain time frame, pages 62 through 74. He wanted a full analysis report. This is a section even upperclassmen struggle to understand. Meanwhile, a notification popped up. Complete Professor Hubert's assignment. Based on the degree of completion, and Professor Hubert's satisfaction, additional rewards will be granted. I didn't expect even homework to be a quest. Professor Swordsman asked, "Are you finding it difficult?" But I just smiled and happily accepted. The scene changed. My homework was now complete. This assignment wasn't difficult for me. In my previous life, because my magical abilities were poor, I studied theory relentlessly to compensate. Even when I was a mercenary, I never stopped learning. But this time, something else was just as important as studying. It's mana vein training. Mana veins are the pathways for mana circulation. Through breathing, absorbed mana flows through the blood vessels and gathers in the heart. This then releases reverse magic. In other words, the stronger the mana veins, the more mana you can gather, and the faster you can release it. But my mana veins are too thin and weak. Even the heavens pitied my unfortunate fate. When I fell into a cave, I discovered a mysterious historical ruin. Inside were 2 magic books. They described the relationship between magic and the body, training the body and expanding mana veins. A magician's body isn't just for transporting mana through veins. The body's muscles can also partially replace the function of mana veins. In other words, the stronger a mage's body is, the more robust their mana veins become. But unfortunately, my body had already reached adulthood back then. The degree of change wasn't that significant. However, I'm currently in a growth phase. I believe I'll see much greater results. This time, I will overcome the limitations of my narrow veins. Therefore, I must persist with this training. Scene change. The sun was now beginning to set. Let's call it a day. Just then, a new task appeared. Run 5 kilometers. Reward, physical improvement due to enhanced mana veins. Speed will be increased. It had been quiet until now. Now this suddenly appears, and then vanishes without a trace. What a frustrating task. But I finally got this opportunity. I can't just sit here and do nothing. 15 minutes in, my legs are trembling. But I'm only halfway there. I have to keep going. I need to be faster. Just a little bit longer. I can do it. The moment it's done, I collapse on the ground. Right now, I just want to lie here quietly. Meanwhile, someone is watching from the shadows. I can't believe how hard Lasalle Raymond is working. When I finished the assignment the professor gave me, even he was impressed. I actually managed to reach such a profound conclusion, and using only academic-level materials. But he still had some doubts. After all, it's hard to believe that an undergraduate student could write this. Did you really complete this by yourself? I understand, Professor. You still seem doubtful about the writing style. So I swear on my magic I wrote it myself. A magic oath? This further convinced the professor. You seem very confident, young man. Regardless, I'm very satisfied with your report. Meanwhile, the quest completion notification popped up. Along with the reward of a magic scripture, I received a bonus for my increased academic understanding. This bonus granted me increased magical power, reduced mana consumption, and faster casting time. Does this mean the greater my understanding, the more powerful I become? If that's the case, I need to add another task to my list. I immediately called out to the instructor. He's the only one in this academy willing to help me. I have to seize this opportunity. The instructor looked curious. Is there something else he asked. Slowly, I said, "Could I borrow some books from the academy library?" The instructor was taken aback. "I'd like to know why." "The student library should have enough books to satisfy your needs." I replied that I had already read all of them. Every single one. After I confirmed, the teacher was quite shocked. "Even if that's true," he said, "using the academy library is a different matter." Hearing this, I was thrilled. It meant I had a chance to get in. The scene changed, and I was suddenly outside. I hadn't expected him to give me so many tasks, but the rewards he offered were equally generous. I was still thinking about the morning's theoretical task. Gaining knowledge meant gaining strength. I needed to acquire more knowledge. From the academy library at any cost. It might be challenging, but I could earn a magician as a reward for completing the task. This is killing 2 birds with 1 stone. There's nothing to lose doing this. Meanwhile, a voice interrupted me. "They say this is a time for fun," it said. "But are you a fitness freak?" My friend turned out to be Anton Frederick. Looking at his confident demeanor, I asked, "So you're here for revenge?" Hearing this, Anton sneered. "You think too highly of yourself," he scoffed. "Russell, who would seek revenge on useless trash like you? Trampling on you, however, is another matter." Hearing this, I knew this guy was up to no good. Then he gestured towards the arena. He wanted to humiliate me in front of the entire school. After all, these kinds of antics were his specialty, and the arena was for magical combat research, based on student sparring matches. And I was always the one humiliated in class. I can't believe it. I was foolish enough to forget about it. There's still some time before the competition. I have to make all the necessary preparations. Before that, I need to complete the task of reaching the 2nd circle magician level. For the next few days, I'll work on completing the new assignments from my teacher, while continuing to strengthen my physical condition. And tonight, I think it's time to attempt a breakthrough. The magic crystals are ready now, but can my body handle the load of so many magic crystals? If I fail, I might die. Damn it. I can only trust in the results of my training. After all, I've been training for so long. In one gulp, I swallowed all the golden stones. As I quickly swallowed them down, a surge of magical power slowly ignited within my body. In the next second, a raging power erupted from my chest. My body felt like it was burning. I needed to forge a new path for the flow of magic. The burning magic was constantly searing me. I had to gather all my magic power and form a tributary of mana. Then I had to re-engrave it within my heart. If I failed, my heart wouldn't be able to withstand such immense energy. It was a desperate gamble, but I had already made up my mind. I'd been a coward for over a decade. I had to calm down. I immediately adjusted my breathing. Slowly, I gathered the magic towards my heart. I only had one chance, no matter what. I had to convert it into my own power. A bright light flashed out from the window. The magical energy gradually calmed down. Did I succeed? As I slowly looked, I saw the mark of the 2nd circle flowing. Then I lost consciousness. The scene changed to the next day. The teacher couldn't believe that I could finish all the tasks in such a short time. He was about to ask the final question. This question was more profound than the previous ones, closer to real-world application. Of the 4 structural components of magic, which is the most important? Hearing this, I was suddenly stunned. Professor Schubert also realized that this question was too difficult for a student. After all, even he had only recently figured it out. He then offered to give me a different one. But I said, I can answer that. The professor was quite surprised. Can he really answer it? He wondered. Then I slowly began to explain about psychic resonance. The professor became very excited. Why do you think that? He asked. This is all from what I've learned. Accumulated over time, I replied. But due to my narrowed veins condition, I've been limited to theoretical study. I continued, explaining that magic is the use of laws to manifest something in the real world. The world breaks it down into 4 levels: comprehension and study, understanding the principles of natural phenomena, star gathering, visualizing the learned knowledge in the mind, formula construction, creating formulas to represent the visual image, and manifestation, or magic, using the formula to manifest something in the real world. Understanding construction and manifestation is something that can be acquired through sufficient effort and study. Psychic intention isn't something you can obtain through hard work, breaking through your limits, achieving free imagination through the mind. That's the key to determining the level of one's psychic intention. If I pretend this flame is an arrow, it will become an arrow. If I imagine something else, it will be something completely different. If I don't limit my imagination, break through the limitations of this world, I can even create things that don't exist in this world, or things that are unimaginable. It begins with understanding the world and thereby changing its rules. This is magic. Even Professor Wenti found it incredible. This is almost identical to my answer. The student library is too small for you. I hereby grant you access to the Academy Library. In a flash, I found myself inside the library. I never imagined it would be so vast. The student library simply can't compare. Three-dimensional trajectory of magic, intensive magical botany. These are all incredibly practical books, and they don't neglect the fundamental theories of magic. Meanwhile, a figure slowly approached, and they noticed me. You're reading a very interesting book. I was startled. When I turned around, there was no one there. But the voice had definitely come from behind me. I was completely baffled, but a second later, a woman appeared before me. It was her, Dalia Snow! I quickly jumped to my feet and bowed. She was an 8-ring archmage, after all, one of the most powerful beings in the world. Despite being over 80 years old, she used her incredible magic to maintain a youthful appearance. She was also the master of the Flame Tower, the highest-ranking magic tower in the Red Tower faction. But what was she doing here? I'm surprised you know who I am, she said. It seemed to catch her off guard. Then she effortlessly conjured a lollipop. There's no need to be nervous, she reassured me. I just happened to be passing by. But a student like you, how did you get into the Academy Library? Then I continued, Professor Hubert allowed me to study here. Dalia seemed quite surprised. That conservative man, she asked. How could he let a student in? But she found it intriguing. It seems you've learned something interesting, she said. Under his magical observation, Hubert discovered my magic was exceptionally pure. And stable, too. Someone like you is rare, he'd commented. Meanwhile, I realized he was observing me. Had he discovered something? Seeing my apprehension, Hubert reassured me, oh, don't worry, I'm not here to scold you. I thanked him again for the candy. He then tapped the floor. Suddenly, an advanced magic circle appeared. Grow strong, child, he said. You have remarkable talent. Let me see how far you can grow. The scene changed, and I found myself outside the library. I didn't expect to see him here. This was an unexpected bonus. Just then, a voice interrupted me. I looked over, and it was Anton. Seeing me emerge from the Academy Library, he immediately started to taunt me. I guess he must have kissed up to some professor. All those books won't help you anyway, he sneered. Because you're just trash. He then threatened me, saying he'd have me begging for mercy soon. I don't know where he gets his confidence. We'll just have to wait and see. A short while later, we arrived at Practical Magic Studies. The instructor would randomly select a student and have that student choose an opponent. The instructor usually tended to pick weaker students. This way, students can choose opponents at their own level. In my past life, I was always the first pick. Meanwhile, some classmates were clamoring for me to choose them, hoping to secure an easy win and a good grade, but I simply ignored them. Then the instructor called out the first name, Anton Frederick. The other students were stunned. Why was asterisk going first? It didn't seem right. But I wasn't surprised. I knew exactly why. The instructor had been bribed. But so what? As he stepped onto the platform, Anton started yelling. What are you sitting there for? Do I have to come down and get you? Russell Raymond. Cut to a different scene. Dalia had already appeared in the professor's office. To his surprise, she was Professor Hubert's teacher. This puzzled Professor Hubert greatly. He wondered why his teacher had time to visit him, and guessed that she must have come for a reason. So, you granted a child named Russell access to the library? Hearing this, Professor Hubert was startled. Did that child do something wrong? Dalia said no. It's just that I haven't seen such a peculiar, eccentric individual in a long time. Hubert looked regretful. Russell's magical veins are constricted. It's a rare condition, even across the entire continent. Haven't you noticed? Hearing this, Professor Hubert was perplexed. The boy overcame his obstacle. He has completed the inscription of the second ring. He's now a 2-ring mage. Professor Hubert could hardly believe it. He actually did it. The scene shifts to the arena. Meanwhile, the man received a new mission. To win against a level 1 mage in combat training and unlock storage space. Storage, a magic only high-level mages can use. It's incredibly useful for storing magic. This is an excellent reward. Immediately after, Anton interrupted. Are you scared stiff? You wouldn't, dummy. If it weren't for me, you'd be crawling on your knees. I chuckled. You're as arrogant as ever. Come at me if you think you're capable. Both trainees are ready? With the instructor's command, the duel began. Meanwhile, Anton conjured a flame in his hand. Even he was surprised, thinking, I can't believe I've reached the level of a 2-ring mage. I've become a 2-ring mage, he marveled. The flame shot straight towards me. I didn't try to dodge. In the next second, I quickly conjured a magic barrier. The flame was deflected skyward. Even so, I could still feel the intense heat. Even the instructor was impressed, noting good use of an angled defense. He changed the flame's trajectory, the instructor added. The referee was stunned. He's been hiding his skills this whole time, he exclaimed internally. A moment later, Anton began to tremble. It seems he's almost out of mana, and I've been waiting for this opportunity. The next second, the flames suddenly weakened. Now's my chance! I quickly condensed a fire spell and launched it directly at him. My attack split his flames in two. He was forced to stop his attack and defend. A huge burst of flames erupted in the arena. The punk could barely hold his ground. Damn it, but then he just froze. He didn't expect me to conjure a second flaming arrow. But he still underestimated me. At that moment, several arrows flew straight towards him. Even the instructor was stunned. Could it be double casting? But another person didn't think so. His casting speed is too fast. It makes it seem like the punk realized. I can only use flame arrows, he taunted. He then quickly switched to a shield, one specifically designed to resist fire. Seeing this, I smirked. I'd been waiting for this moment. Anton was still thinking he could just wait until my magic power ran out. But he didn't expect that I had anticipated all of this. In the next second, I dismissed the flame demon. A sharp gust of air rapidly gathered in my hand. The wind elementals on the field swiftly converged around me. Anton's jaw dropped. At the same time, a fierce wind blade shot straight towards him. The instructor was once again shocked by my actions. He hadn't expected me to identify the type of shield and adapt my magic accordingly. Is this really the same LaSalle we know, he wondered? The scene changed. The blonde-haired boy knelt on the ground in pain. Damn it! But in the next second, I was in front of him. I quickly gathered my strength. My fist landed squarely on his chest. Anton vomited up last night's dinner. Meanwhile, he tried to cast another spell, but I wasn't going to give him the chance. I leaped up and delivered a vacuum strike. The referee had a bad feeling. His movements were incredibly fast. What kind of magic was this? He wanted to stop the match, but Professor Hubert stopped him. He's not using magic. Look closely. When he looked again, his eyes widened. The power he's using, it's like a knight's aura. Professor Hubert looked very pleased. I don't know how he obtained it, but he found a way. The students in the arena were utterly shocked. Even the instructor was no exception. Meanwhile, the professor was watching from above. He then gestured to the referee, questioning what was happening. This made the instructor break out in a cold sweat. Had the professor discovered their deal? You should announce the winner, the professor said. The professor wore a knowing smile. He already knew everything. Frightened, the referee immediately announced the result. The winner is LaSalle Raymond. Then, LaSalle, with a guilty look, slowly walked onto the platform. He gestured for me to step down. You can go down now, he indicated. I smiled. According to the rules, I stated, unless the victor surrenders, I am allowed to summon my next opponent. The other students were instantly stunned. All right, you're up next. Come on down and let's play. Moments later, the instructor couldn't believe I'd won 14 matches in a row. Instructor Dalia had incredibly sharp perception. She'd only seen LaSalle once, but she noticed his magical potential. Could this be the result of overcoming his Venus constriction? Has his accumulated magic power finally burst forth? How could he have grown so powerful so quickly? But regardless, he deserved to be specially trained. The scene changed, and I found myself back in my dorm room. Meanwhile, the rewards for the mission began to appear. Suddenly, a storage space materialized. Is the reward inside the space? I reached in to find out. I searched and searched, but found nothing. Just then, I stumbled upon something that looked like a scroll. When I opened it, it turned out to be a map. The task, find the location marked on this map. As you approach the location, a guiding light will show you the way. The reward, the ultimate magic stone. But there's a catch. You need to be a third circle magician. Before my return, I tried countless times, but I could never reach that level. Will I succeed this time? The current problem is, what place is marked on this map? So I started searching for information in the Academy library, hoping to find some clues. First, I'll start by investigating the outer regions of the Indirion Kingdom. Next, I'll check the Empire's coastline. Nothing there either. Then I think it should be documented out here in the open sea. In the blink of an eye, the morning passed. I still haven't found the location marked on the map. Damn it! Searching for this place on the map has wasted too much time. Perhaps I should focus on reaching the third ring before making any further plans. When I came out of the library, everyone stepped aside. I managed to escape the resentment and bullying, but I didn't expect to still be alone. Meanwhile, a voice interrupted my thoughts. It was Professor Hubert. He said he had something to discuss with me. I readily agreed. The scene changed. I was now in his office. Then the professor said, "Summer vacation is approaching. Do you have any plans?" I followed up by saying I hadn't made any definite plans yet. "Well then, would you be interested in collaborating with me on a research project?" he asked. "Based on your performance, you could even have your name listed after mine as a co-author." Just then, a book on his desk caught my eye. Curiosity piqued. I picked it up for a closer look, and what I saw startled me. The instructor asked, "So what about it, the project?" "I'm sorry," I said to him, "but I've made other plans for the summer." He looked confused. "Didn't you just say you hadn't—" I handed him the book. "I need to go here," I explained. To that place for the whole summer?" A few days later, I set off for the location marked on the map. That's quite a distance, so I should grab a bite to eat. Right then, I'll take out some food from my storage space. Before I arrive, I should try to cultivate to a 3-ring mage. I didn't expect the sun to be out this late. Why is it so hot before noon? This is unbelievable. Meanwhile, I'm continuously gathering magic power in the carriage. After breaking through to the 2nd ring last time, my meridian issue was resolved because I opened up a new magical pathway with the help of many magic golden boxes. I'll reach the 3rd ring before reaching my destination. Elsewhere, the instructor was very puzzled about where I was going. He was also going to the Maldives. I think this might be a good thing, because he must be there by now. Unexpectedly, the Maldives was Dalia's homeland. He hadn't been back in decades, busy safeguarding the empire and conducting magical research. Most of his time was spent training new mages. 3 numbers held special significance for mages: 3, 6, and 9. 999 rings symbolized the pinnacle of magical achievement, the ultimate goal of every mage's life. Reaching 6 rings signified achieving the rank of Archmage, a stage that demanded immense hardship and dedication. Attaining 3 rings marked the beginning of one's journey as a mage. It was a solitary path, requiring solitary training and growth through experience. Meanwhile, he recalled the young man he'd met in the library. He wondered how far the boy had progressed. The scene changed, and I arrived in the Maldives. Just then, something strange happened that puzzled the driver. He called out several times, but the passenger didn't get out. When he opened the car door, he was horrified by what he saw. A moment later, a person was seen devouring food. It was me, and I was starving. I had used a tremendous amount of magical energy to suppress the raging power within me. It had left me exhausted and I had fainted, but I had persevered. Now, I was a 3-circle mage. In just a few months, I had overcome my previous limitations. But my goals didn't end there. I needed to become even stronger. No matter what, I needed to find the place marked on the map. But in this unfamiliar place, it was proving to be a difficult task. Just then, I heard the voices of a tour group. They were headed to the same place I was. This seemed like a good opportunity. Following the tour guide, I arrived at my destination. Mount Pompei was once an ordinary mountain, but it changed after a unique creature made it its home. Its environment was completely transformed. There's only one creature in the world like that, a red dragon wielding the power of fire. Hearing this, I froze. The tour guide's story was surprisingly captivating, but it was time for me to move. I looked at the cliff face and jumped. Using wind magic, I slowly descended to the top. The view from below was stunning. I gazed at the cascading waterfall. The map marked this exact spot. Perhaps just like the guide said, this mission was connected to the dragon. Meanwhile, a golden light emanated from the map. It then transformed into a stream of golden liquid. Moments later, it flew straight ahead. Is this what he meant by "the light will guide me"? The point of light then passed through the waterfall. Found you? I think the entrance is there. I'll gather a wind spell in my hand. With one palm strike, I froze a path through the waterfall. I quickly followed behind. I didn't expect a lava cave behind the waterfall. No wonder people haven't found this place. The mission said that I needed to reach Ring 3 before entering here. But I don't see any monsters or even wild animals. I walked deeper into the cave. A stone pillar ahead caught my attention. This must be an ancient ruin. Just then, a bright light nearby caught my eye. If I'm not mistaken, this is the real entrance. I walked straight towards the door. It was eerily quiet. So quiet that I could clearly hear my own footsteps. My gut told me this place was dangerous. Damn it! Have I forgotten my mercenary life? Already, I've let my guard down. With no monsters and no sound whatsoever, it means I've entered a powerful predator's territory. Just then, a giant beast suddenly appeared. It was a Komodo giant, a demonic beast. It lunged at me, jaws wide open. Damn, I was careless this time. Then, the seven-tailed beast lunged at me like lightning. I leaped into the air, dodging the fatal blow. The floor where it struck exploded into fragments. Seeing that, I knew I couldn't defeat this monster alone. Its power was at least equivalent to 2 pairs of mercenaries. My only option was to run. I quickly gathered lightning energy in my hand. Maybe this would buy me some time to escape. Meanwhile, the beast lunged at me fiercely. I had formed a long spear of lightning. Damn it, I had to gamble. I hurled the lightning spear straight at the monster. The lightning struck its head dead on. The next second, powerful electrical currents surged through its body. I knew it had incredibly tough skin, but the lightning would pass through his skin, temporarily paralyzing him and buying me some time. He blocked my exit, so I could only run towards the stone gate. As I approached the stone gate, the unexpected happened. The guardian statue of the gate blocked my path and demanded I prove my identity. I was stunned. The paralysis on the creature had worn off, and now he was blocking the doorway. Was this the end? I had no way out. If I couldn't escape, then I would have to fight my way out. Immediately after, fiery energy began to coalesce in my hands. It materialized into a bow and arrow. Just as I was about to unleash the flaming arrow, the stone gate behind me absorbed some of the fire element. Seeing this, the creature's eyes widened in shock. He refers to the creature that was temporarily paralyzed. The I in this context refers to the person telling the story and wielding the bow and arrow. Then he abruptly stopped, using his feet as emergency brakes. I was completely baffled by how he managed to stop so suddenly. Suddenly, he slowly began to rise. But I didn't let up my attack, not even for a second. The next moment, he unexpectedly bowed to me. This left me utterly confused. He had stopped attacking without me doing anything. At the same time, the guards behind him withdrew their weapons. Just then, a blinding light erupted from behind the door. I was instantly engulfed by the light. When I reappeared, I was somewhere else entirely. A chilling cold permeated the air around me. Looking down, I saw a thick layer of ice on the ground. That bright light must have been some kind of teleportation magic. So this must be where I was meant to be. A moment later, something on a platform caught my eye. That looks like some kind of animal's tentacle. But how could it be so massive? Suddenly, a red quest notification appeared. Quest: defeat all the soldier puppets in this area and complete the trial of fire. Reward unknown. Seeing this, I noticed the soldier figures nearby. He must be talking about these guys. Then, the soldier figures slowly started to surround me. Am I supposed to defeat them all at once? Damn, this quest is brutal. A wave of flames struck the soldier puppet directly in its chest. I know that's where their magic power core is located. I have to find a way to destroy it. As the smoke slowly cleared, it hadn't caused any damage. Just how tough is that thing? Damn it, I need another plan. Since fire magic isn't working, maybe I can try wind magic, but I can't seem to gather the wind element. Meanwhile, the ice golem is attacking. I quickly try to cast a lightning spell, but my casting is interrupted again. I dodge with a flash, and the golem's attack slams into the ground. I retreat quickly, putting some distance between us. But I'm still grazed by a flying shard of ice. Then I remember the hint from the quest. Pass through the trial of fire. I think it means besides fire, I can't use any other magic. They've got me cornered now. There's nowhere left to run. This looks bad. Really bad. I wipe the blood from my forehead and quickly summon a fire weapon in my hand. If I can't avoid this, then let's fight to the death. I realized a single flame arrow wasn't enough to damage it. So I decided to increase my firepower. As I channeled my magic, 3 arrows shot forth from my hands. They flew straight towards the puppet's core. After a burst of explosions, a heat wave washed over me. As the smoke slowly cleared, I saw the ice covering the golden river had been pierced. That's when I knew fire was effective against them. Seizing the opportunity, I unleashed a golden beam of light directly at the puppet. Moments later, it shattered. Finally, I had killed one, but it had taken a lot of mana. This wasn't good. At this rate, I would run out of mana. Before I could defeat them all, I needed to find another way. Meanwhile, the other ice golems launched a fierce attack on me. Their massive fists swung down with menacing force. To quickly shatter their hard, icy shells, I devised a plan. I needed to focus all of my power onto a single point. The final answer was a secret for now. First, I had to put some distance between us to buy myself enough time to cast the spell. Moments later, I circled around to their blind spot. Quickly, I conjured a blazing bow and arrow. As I channeled my amplified power, the arrow instantly transformed into a long sword. Next came the cloning spell. I watched as the sword split and multiplied. In moments, there were 4, then 5. Now came the most crucial step. As I slowly chanted the incantation, the surrounding fire elements rushed towards me. I need to condense all these arrows into a single weapon. Sound of exertion. Then, with a single motion, I grabbed the tree branch. Although the arrows are all imbued with fire energy, fusing them together will require immense effort. It would take a mage of at least the 5th rank to accomplish this. I can only try my best and take a gamble. Meanwhile, a golem detected my location and is charging towards me. Damn it, I need to be faster! With a blinding flash of light, the golem stopped in its tracks. Other golems in the distance looked on in confusion. The scene changed. The camera panned. There I was, holding a weapon forged from pure flames. The golem, overwhelmed by my fiery aura, became deactivated, lost power, collapsing heavily before me. My control over the fire element it's already beyond the limit of a 3-ring spell. Just maintaining this fur consumes a massive amount of energy, so my body can't sustain it for much longer. I need to finish this quickly. I immediately charged towards the puppets, empowered by my synthesized flame magic. A single strike pierced through 3 of them, including the one from before. I've already destroyed 4 soldier puppets, but I can feel my remaining magic power dwindling. The remaining puppets all lunged at me. Seeing this, I randomly swung at their necks and vital points, taking down 2 in one go. Just then, a puppet from behind threw a punch at me. I dodged the attack with a flash. His fist slammed heavily into the ground. If I had been hit, in my current state, and would immediately lose the ability to fight. With a determined look in my eyes, I seized a gap in its attack and sliced it cleanly in half with my blade. Now, only 1 remained. But the puppet didn't give me a chance to breathe. I immediately sensed another attack coming my way, but I was too exhausted to dodge. Its blow landed squarely on me. Luckily, I managed to block with my spear at the last moment. Otherwise, I would have been killed instantly. I only had a single breath of magic power left. Slowly, I pushed myself back up. My body trembled with exhaustion. In situations like this, I had to remain calm. Was my only option to gamble? I tightened my grip on my spear and began to channel my power, pouring every last ounce of strength I had. The ice golem's fist came crashing down towards me. Go, whether you succeed or not depends on you. The golem's arm collided violently with the long hairs. Moments later, the entire battlefield fell silent. The light had vanished from the golem's eyes. When I opened my eyes again, I saw its body pierced straight through by the long hairs. Is it finally over? At that moment, my strength gave out. I lost consciousness and collapsed to the ground. You have completed the task. Your reward is clear. The Forgotten King's Horn, once belonging to the mythical red dragon, it now resided within my body. As I completed the trial, I succumbed to exhaustion and lost consciousness. Meanwhile, the chained tentacles began to vibrate violently. The chains shattered, falling to the ground in pieces. Then, a raging fire ignited. Immediately after, the tentacles emitted a blinding light, and I was engulfed in white light. When I opened my eyes again, I found myself within a vast space. I was bound tightly by chains. Then the quest log notified me that I'd received a reward. The Forgotten King's Foot. Could such a reward truly exist? This is the legendary Fire Dragon's Foot. Why do I feel like I've been kidnapped? Suddenly, a piercing sound shrieked through the air. Having endured the trial of fire, and reached a sublime state of being, I bestow upon you a king's fragment. I had no idea what was happening. My head felt like it was about to explode. In the next moment, a tentacle, sharp as a sword, lunged at me, piercing straight through my body. Damn it, is this it? Am I going to die? It burrowed quickly into me, as if trying to rip me apart. Then it transformed into a surge of powerful energy, fusing with me. This energy, it's suffocating me. The figure of a massive dragon suddenly materialized, its eyes fixed on me. You will inherit the power of the dragon. Grow strong. The scene changed. I was lying on a beach. When I regained consciousness, I realized I'd missed a whole episode. Then I remembered I was just in that mindscape, impaled by a giant dragon horn, and now I'm here, looking at the buildings in the distance. I'm back in the city. Was I teleported back? Just then, my quest log updated. Apparently, I'd absorbed the dragon horn's power. But because I couldn't handle that much magical energy all at once, the rest of my power is sealed away. It will be released when I reach a certain level. Also, my affinity for the fire element is even higher now. Let's see how strong I am now. I released just a sliver of magic power, and an incredibly powerful aura erupted. I was stunned. It hasn't been long since I broke through to the third circle, but now the fourth circle feels within reach. Compared to the treatment I received in the first season, this reward is a huge return. Just then a voice interrupted me. I turned around to see it was Master Dalia. Apparently the magic power I released felt familiar to him. That's why he rushed over. So it was you, kid. I didn't expect to run into him here either. He then used his magic power to probe my body. He discovered that in such a short time I had reaching the third ring. He's just a hair's breadth away from the fourth, and his magic power is purer than before. If someone like that isn't considered a genius, then there are no geniuses in this world. I was also very puzzled about how Dalia ended up here, because this place is very difficult to find on the map. Later, I learned that this is his hometown. He was quite curious about how I found this place, but it's still too early to tell him the truth. It seems I'll have to make up a story. Then, with a confident look, I said I wanted to see the wider world. Dalia said it was a good idea. At the same time, he wanted to test my abilities. He asked if I could do him a small favor. He snapped his fingers, and a ring of fire surrounded me. It then transformed into a cloak, and it bore the mark of the flame tower. I was completely baffled as to what it could be. Just then, a new quest popped up in the dialogue box. Assist Dalia in repelling pirates who are trafficking people. But slavery is strictly forbidden in the Empire. That's why we don't allow ships involved in human trafficking to dock in our ports, and yet they're trying to secretly land and conduct their trade. We immediately set off towards the pirate ship. Our goal was to seize the vessel and rescue the victims. I knew full well that the Flame Tower Lord brought me along to test my abilities, because even without my help, he alone was more than capable of handling these pirates. Given his status as the Flame Tower Lord, if he just gave the word, hundreds, even thousands of mages would come running, even barefoot if they had to. Since he specifically asked for my help, I thought, I'll certainly do my best. He then gave me a serious look and warned, what's about to happen next might be a little hard to take. The path of a guardian isn't always easy, he continued. This is just another fate for us mages. I understood what he was trying to say. I'd seen my share of bloody scenes as well. He then leaped into the air, his intention to distract the pirates. My role was to infiltrate the ship and rescue the captives. Moments later, he appeared above the ship. Let's see what you're made of, he called down. He then unleashed his magic. In an instant, a powerful magical force enveloped the vessel. Is this the power of a battle mage, I wondered? The elf girl I just met has a peculiar fondness for my scent. This is really strange, she thought. Do I smell like salted fish or something? Just then, the pirates also detected the intruders. Countless massive motherships targeted Dalia, but the pirates hadn't yet grasped the severity of the situation. With a command from their captain, a volley of arrows shot skyward. But the Tower Lord wasn't the least bit intimidated by this attack. As the arrows neared him, they instantly disintegrated into ash. The pirates were stunned. Damn it, the attack had no effect. Ordinary people with no magic are like ants before a mage, let alone an 8th circle mage. They should have asked around first. Didn't they know whose homeland Mardiva is? Let me see. Are you as skilled as you are brave? A small flame from the tree landed on the ship. The pirates were curious. One of them tried to stomp it out with his foot. But in the next second, the flame came alive. It grabbed his foot tightly. A burst of fire instantly roasted his foot like a pig's trotter. The small flame from before had transformed into a fiery soldier. The pirates didn't dare make a move. In a flash, dozens of fiery soldiers surrounded them. Taking advantage of the distraction, I quietly snuck onto the ship from the back. I was puzzled. Why had they suddenly gone silent? As I looked, could these be the legendary flame soldiers? I wondered. It was with this magic that Dalia and single-handedly destroyed the entire castle. Just then, a pirate stealthily grabbed his weapon. He quickly swung his axe at the fireman, cleaving him clean in two. But in the next second, the fireman's wounds instantly healed. Then, with a mere touch of his fiery scythe against the pirate's leg, the pirate was instantly engulfed in flames. I was stunned to think he perished in a sea of fire in the blink of an eye. The other pirates couldn't believe their eyes either, but this wasn't the time for astonishment. I had to take advantage. of the distraction Dalia was creating. To rescue the hostages. In a flash, I made my way to the ship's hold. The pirates guarding the hold. He sensed the commotion outside. It filled him with suspicion. The hostages knew that someone must have come to rescue them. Hearing this, the pirate stepped forward menacingly with his knife. "None of you will escape our clutches," he threatened. They trembled in fear, but this gave me an opportunity. I swiftly moved behind the pirate and grabbed him by the neck. Then I chanted the lightning spell. A powerful surge of electricity coursed through his body. In the next second, he was charred black, just as I suspected. None of them came upstairs to check. It seems they have a clear division of labor. "Are you here to save us?" I was taken aback by their emaciated appearance. I wondered how long they had been imprisoned. I nodded silently, but given the current situation, it's safer to stay inside until all the pirates are eliminated. Hearing this, they knelt down and prayed excitedly. When I looked behind me, I saw countless people imprisoned in this small space. Then a cage caught my attention. They were even selling children as slaves, these damned bastards. Just then, several pirates emerged from a room. How did a child get out here? Then they noticed the person lying behind me. Seeing this, they knew I was an intruder from the outside. They immediately attacked me, but I wasn't afraid of them. I brought my hands together and chanted a spell. A surge of lightning energy quickly formed in my hands. In a mere instant, the lightning bolt pierced straight through their bodies. The powerful current paralyzed them. In a matter of moments, they were incapacitated. And he still dares to threaten me now? I decided to give him another dose of electrotherapy. So stubborn even when facing death. I then proceeded towards the inner room. I was extremely curious about who was being held captive inside. Meanwhile, a voice called out, "Are you a mage from the flame tower?" I lit a magic orb, and to my surprise, it was a group of elves. One of the elves slowly rose. Having spotted the flame tower insignia on me, he assumed I was one of their mages. I told him I wasn't yet, but the elf was incredibly arrogant, demanding I open the cage immediately. His words irritated me. Are all elves this rude? And his tone, as if I owed him a fortune. I wanted to just turn around and leave. Let them observe a little longer. Just at that moment, a voice interrupted him. "I've noticed your behavior. He seems to have a noble air about him. Could he be their leader?" He slowly rose to his feet. "I sense an unusual magic within you, as pure as the setting sun. And I can smell a distinct scent on you, the scent of a soul." The man was a lightning sorcerer, but he was powerless against the bald man before him. He hadn't expected his weapon to be an insulator. Just moments ago, the disrespectful elves were utterly shocked. The white-haired elf spoke with certainty. "That is the scent of a soul!" Hearing this, I was taken aback. Could I really have that kind of scent on me? The other elves also wondered if there had been a mistake. How could a human possibly carry the scent of a soul? I then tried to smell myself. There was no smell at all. Suddenly, the rude elf from before interrupted me. He hesitated for a moment, then lowered his head. He begged me to set them free. The other elves did the same. His single sentence had changed these elves known for their arrogance. Could he be a high elf? Someone with a lot of influence? Since their attitude seemed sincere enough, I decided to forgive his earlier rudeness. Then the elf asked, "Have all the pirates and their leader been defeated?" Hearing this, I chuckled. Their leader still hadn't shown up. A leader is far more powerful than ordinary soldiers, stronger even than magic-wielding warriors. But their leader had sensed the commotion and knew I was in the room. He was thrilled. Meanwhile, the pirate leader finally appeared. He seemed remarkably calm, observing the scene. "What an adorable little fellow," he mused. He slowly drew his massive sword. With a leap, he landed gracefully behind the fireman. One slash and two were down. The force was so overwhelming, they couldn't heal. "Are you all struggling against attacks like these?" he taunted. His words reignited the fighting spirit in the other pirates. The pirate leader was unexpectedly skilled. He had actually extinguished the fireman's flames. He found this quite amusing. In the next second, he appeared on the ship. The pirates were startled at the sight. Had he come to deliver himself to death? After all, close combat wasn't a mage's forte. "So you're their captain?" One Eye arrogantly confirmed with a sneer. Daria realized he was using spiritual energy. "You were a knight once, weren't you?" One Eye threw back his head and laughed. "Does a knight's honor pay for food and taxes? It's better to make money from the slave trade." "Is that your excuse?" Daria challenged. He then swung his greatsword. With a sudden dash, he appeared before Daria. His eyes narrowed fiercely as he swung the sword down, but Daria sidestepped, easily dodging the blow. At the same moment, a crack appeared in the planks behind Dalia. This power, it was dangerous. By the time I realized it, it was too late to dodge. The next second, the wall exploded. Damn it. Moments later, the smoke slowly cleared. I had been blasted back several meters. Luckily, I had activated my shield. Looking at the shattered weapons at my feet, I knew this person possessed incredible strength. A bald man in armor appeared before me. He spotted me, too. Using magic to conceal everyone, you must be a mage, then. He drew his sword and approached me. He's using spiritual energy. Could he be a knight? Then, a quest notification popped up. First battle with the swordsman. Reward 5 ultimate mage spirits! It also warned me to be cautious of this enemy. He is extremely powerful. He's the first mate of this ship. He showed no fear at the sight of me. Because in his eyes, although I was a mage, I was also just a wet-behind-the-ears kid. This filled him with excitement. He drew his sword and pointed it at me. After all, a mere child posed no threat to a knight. But I couldn't use fire magic at that moment. We were surrounded by wooden planks. The slightest misstep could ignite the entire place. So I could only resort to lightning magic for the time being. I decided to strike first. A bolt of lightning shot straight towards him. The bald man didn't flinch. "Are you sure you want to use lightning against me?" he taunted. He then plunged his sword into the floorboards and ripped up a plank with a single stroke. My attack was completely blocked by the flying wood. He then charged straight at me. Was my lightning ineffective against him? I immediately unleashed several more attacks. He parried the blow with his sword, and he didn't suffer a scratch. The sword he used caught my attention. The lightning didn't affect him at all. Could it be insulated? The bald man was too fast. I had no time to dodge. His sword came slashing down at me. Luckily, I still had my shield to protect me. But in the next moment, I sensed something was wrong. A crack appeared in the shield. That damned man was supposed to be a beacon fire level 3 mage. Yet he was being completely dominated by this bald guy. And I could only use wind and lightning magic, because if I unleashed my fire magic, I would incinerate everything here. Meanwhile, on the pirate ship, as Chang attacked Dalia, he realized his attacks were passing right through her. Could it be a clone? But in the next second, the flames transformed back into Dalia. "So all you mages are good at running away?" The Tower Master then asked, "Is your brother a knight as well?" The pirate gave an affirmative answer. "Of course. He's just not as strong as me." The Tower Master then summoned 2 more fire elementals. Seeing this, the pirate scoffed. "Still playing these little tricks? You can try. These are different from the ones before." Seeing this, the pirate was quite puzzled. But in the next moment, the fire elementals began to split apart. In a short while, there were twice as many. It turned out Dalia had infused the flames with splitting magic. If a fire elemental was cut, the other half would regenerate into a new one. The more they were cut, the faster they multiplied. In the blink of an eye, he was surrounded by flames. "So, Captain, how does it feel now?" Then, the fiery figure launched an attack at him. Only then did he realize who the woman before him was. What was the Flame Tower Witch doing here? Meanwhile, my shield was shattered by the pirate. His blade landed squarely on my chest. But my reaction stunned him. He couldn't believe a mage could dodge his attack. Anyone else would have been cleaved in 2 by such a powerful blow. But how could this kid withstand it? Was his body made of stone? And he could even channel his magic to enhance his physical strength. What was he hiding? But it didn't matter. He was like a rat caught in a trap, unable to escape my grasp. Seeing this, Jinling was deeply worried about my safety. Could the Guardian truly handle this? Meanwhile, his attack triggered a memory. During a past mission, I passed through a village, and I saw him there. Back then, he didn't have a shaved head. He slaughtered a group of innocent mercenaries just because they bumped into his shoulder. I was badly injured that day as well. But thankfully, a white-robed mage appeared. He barely managed to stop that cold-blooded lunatic. I remember his fighting style. I think I know how to deal with this pirate. I summoned my barrier again. Just as I predicted, he charged right at me. But he didn't realize it was a trap. Just before his sword shattered my shield, I slipped behind him. By the time he realized it, it was too late. I had already finished chanting my spell. The next second, a wind magic mirror shot straight through his body. The pirate was sent flying into the trees, and he coughed up a mouthful of blood. I never expected a kid to have such power. Since I took a knife wound earlier, I'm not doing so well myself. If I bleed any more, I'll probably pass out too. Immediately after, I crushed the lock I hadn't had time to open before. When the spirit emerged, it started stealing continuously. "I'll get you all to safety." But the pirate captain interrupted me. He hadn't collapsed. "You stubborn little brat! You should have aimed for my head. I was stunned. I definitely hadn't held back. I signaled the others to attack. And rescue everyone outside. The blonde elf seemed reluctant. The white-haired elf indicated his compliance. Hearing this, the pirate scratched his head. So you still have time to save the slaves, huh? In a flash, he vanished. He swung his sword at my head. Fortunately, I had enough mana to summon a shield. But the shield shattered. I quickly conjured another one. I wouldn't give him a chance to counterattack. The pirate grinned wickedly. Let's see. How many shields you can put up? He relentlessly swung his blade. I desperately defended. I had to buy them time. If I could just hold out a little longer, until they rescued everyone, then I could strike back. Suddenly I received their signal. The pirate continued to taunt. Do you think this will change anything? But in the next second, flames ignited all around, revealing his prey. They instantly surrounded the area. Seeing this, the pirate's face paled in fear. His earlier confidence vanished. Now it was time for my counterattack. The elven girl, with the blood of the azure dragon flowing through her veins, could sense my presence, because I had inherited the bloodline of the dragon emperor. After receiving the elf's response, I unleashed my fire magic. In a mere instant, flames engulfed the entire ship cabin. The bald swordsman's expression changed drastically. He actually had a hidden trump card. Immediately after, he sensed a change in my aura. This power filled him with immense fear. He quickly backed away. That look in his eyes was quite intriguing.
Is he finally ready to kill?
Then let me see what prey looks like when cornered and fighting for its life. I'll pierce you right through that shield. But in the next moment, his eyes went wide. He watched as I fused the flames in my hand, transforming them into a blazing spear. The bald man's sword lunged towards me. At the same time, he sensed something was wrong. His power, it's leagues beyond that of a third circle mage. But it was too late to dodge. The next second, the two weapons collided. A blinding white light engulfed the entire battlefield. Meanwhile, the captain was still entangled with those fiery figures. With each one he cut down, more firemen seemed to appear. Killing him isn't right. But not killing him isn't either. What is my foolish brother doing? As long as he's there, I can get close enough to attack the mage. Just then, the fireman attacked again, but he deflected the attack with just 2 swings of his sword. Though they don't pose a huge threat, these little things are truly annoying. Meanwhile, a crack appeared in the wooden planks beneath his feet. By the time he noticed it, it was too late to dodge. As the gap widened, a pillar of fire erupted from the floor in the next second. He was sent flying by the sudden attack, and his brother was right behind him. Dalia found this unbelievable. Could a 3-ring mage cause such a commotion? Then, he noticed the hostage who had been rescued. And the elves? They were also stunned by the commotion I caused. Dalia hadn't expected that LaSalle could successfully rescue them, especially without him having to lift a finger. At that moment, the mission was completed. Then other pirates arrived as reinforcements. It seemed the test was over. With a casual wave of his hand, the fiery figure transformed into a fire spirit. He then tapped the floor, and several fire figures erupted like blooming flowers, striking the pirates' ship directly. They were instantly incapacitated. At that moment, the white-haired elf was using healing magic to mend my wounds. Slowly, I regained consciousness. Because his magic hadn't fully recovered, the healing process was a bit slow. Then Dalia approached and said, "Well done," and single-handedly defeated 2 of those monstrosities. I chuckled at that. I only faced 1 pirate, but somehow ended up defeating 2. Then the elf, Illo, interrupted me. "Well, I cannot repay your kindness immediately," she said, "as a member of the White Ash tribe. I swear on the name of my ancestors that I will repay you one day." I then introduced myself. "Protecting others is a mage's duty," I stated. "So are you forgetting the contributions of the Flame Tower?" Then I asked Illo about what she had said in the cabin. "What did you mean by soul aura earlier?" Daria, who was standing nearby, suddenly froze. "Did I hear that correctly?" she asked. Illo explained. "Perhaps you inherited the bloodline of a dragon." Hearing this, I suddenly understood. The reason I could smell it is because azure dragon blood flows through me. My dragon bloodline is very faint, like a single drop in a vast ocean. But even a small trace can sense the presence of other souls. That's how I could detect your aura. And it's incredibly strong and pure. I was just about to ask if you, like me, are of dragon descent. Are you a dragon hybrid? Upon hearing this, Dalia understood why Russell had grown so powerful so quickly. When he fully matures, he will impact the entire empire. No, the entire world. The scene transitioned, now showing the shore. The elves concealed themselves. Just then, Dalia called out to them. She guessed that Elo must be searching for something. Hide yourself! Then wait until your magic power is fully restored. Elo nodded in agreement. He then suggested we go to his villa. He could also guide LaSalle's training there. I was taken aback at this. If I could really help him, I would be more than happy to. So I accepted Dalia's suggestion. Note, assuming Dalia is referring to Elo based on context. Don't you want to go? I was momentarily speechless. Of course I'd be delighted to. Special training from the Flame Tower Master. It's an opportunity most people wouldn't even dream of. Then he led us forward. It was quite a distance from where we were. Just then, I remembered the beast wasn't far away. Is this really okay? I asked. He assured me not to worry. Schubert would take care of it. All right, every man has to jump off a cliff 99 times a day. After a week of this rigorous training, he finally reached the threshold of teleportation. Now, we're on our way to Dalia's residence. After a morning of travel, we finally arrived at the villa. This place is like a grand estate. I was stunned when I got out of the car. It's enormous. Dalia told us to make ourselves at home. We'll all be staying here for a while. Elo found the place quite comfortable and thanked Dalia again for her hospitality. But the place felt strangely familiar to me. As I looked at the garden beside us, the memory was hazy, but I vaguely remembered being here before. When I was very young, with my parents, I then went and asked the Tower Master, "This villa wasn't originally yours. Was it?" Hearing this, he was taken aback. "If anyone heard you say that, they would think I stole it." Darius gave a confirming nod. "Some merchants put it up for auction a few years ago. That's when I bought it. Then my hunch was right. This place was also one of the Raymond family's properties. After my family went bankrupt, everything was taken away. I heard it was sold for very cheap. I never thought I'd be back here again." The scene changes to a week later. Darius and Elo are discussing something. The Tower Master examines Elo's body again. "It seems you've recovered most of your strength. So next, let's talk about what we discussed earlier, to help train LaSalle." And Elo was very happy at that moment, because he had already prepared himself. He looked around but didn't see him. Seeing this, Dalia smiled and said, "While you were recovering, I had him training on the other side of the back mountain." At this moment, I was plummeting straight down from the cliff, crashing heavily into the river below. The next second, I emerged from the water. I thought to myself, I must have failed again before this. Dalia had asked me what I had learned from the battle, and I realized the importance of distance for a mage. Although mages are very powerful, close combat is clearly not their forte. Hearing this, she affirmed, "In battle, distance is crucial for a mage. Now let me teach you how to master distance," he said. He lifted one foot, hovering in midair, and in a flash vanished. When he reappeared, he was on the other side of the river. "That's space warp magic, teleportation," he explained. He then gestured for me to start practicing. Because in the future, this might just save your life. After several days of training, I hadn't succeeded even once. This magic, it seemed, wasn't heavily influenced by magical level. Only by understanding its logic could one learn it. So what is the definition of space, I wondered. And how can I possibly fold it? I tried again. The result was just as I expected. It made me wonder, is this really teleportation training? Why does it feel like I'm just training my stamina and endurance? Instead of overthinking it, I should focus on how to fold space. As I stepped off the cliff again, I saw a ripple in the space beneath my feet. The spatial distortion was enough to stabilize me. As I tried to take another step, someone suddenly interrupted me. I turned around, and to my surprise, it was the Tower Master. "It seems I've come at a bad time," he said. The next second, the scene abruptly shifted. A knife flashed. Note, this line is unclear in the original. This is a best guess interpretation. I climbed back onto the shore again, Dalia said. "It's time to learn another skill, the soul contract. Yahello will guide you in learning this technique." "It's an honor to help you," Yahello said. I expressed my gratitude. A moment later, I began to cultivate. Under Yahello's guidance, I slowly closed my eyes. Now then, imagine something related to partnership, the morning sun, the midday sun, or a burning fire. In my continuous meditation, the next second, flames engulfed my entire body. Seeing this, Yahello was startled. He didn't expect that within a single person's body, there could be such pure magical power. "And now I will enter your sea of corpses and guide you to find him. Because most people don't know, everyone has a gateway to their soul, whether human, elf, or his physical form. They are all entities born of nature. When one's soul encounters it, the gate will open on its own. Just then, The flames on my body suddenly flared up intensely. Seeing this, Dalia couldn't help but become nervous. "Then let me see what flows within your heart." When he saw it clearly, he couldn't believe it was hatred. Inside the man's mind, there wasn't just a door, but also a raging river. Just now, when he fell into my sea of corpses, what he saw gave him a splitting headache. When he regained consciousness, he couldn't believe what he was seeing. It was incredibly cold, and there was a raging river. It was exceptionally violent. Russell's face was contorted in pain, and tears of sorrow streamed down his cheeks. In reality, the magical power within him was becoming extremely agitated. Ilo was trying to suppress it. Dalia was startled by this. The energy was too strong. Ilo couldn't handle it. In the next second, he activated the Azure Dragon bloodline within him. A flash of light instantly engulfed them both. When I regained consciousness, I was back in the room. Jayan Ci breathed a sigh of relief after stabbing him. This line needs more context. Who is him? Assuming Jayan Ci stabbed someone who was a threat. But all I felt was a splitting headache. Thinking back, it must have been my magic power that suddenly erupted. Just then, the door slowly opened. It was Yilu, but in the next second, I noticed the bandages wrapped around his hand. Then he smiled and said he was fine. I knew he was trying to comfort me. "I'm so useless. I can't even control my own magic power." I felt terrible about it. So I said I'd go outside to cool off. Seeing this, Dalia was very curious about what had just happened. Yilu explained. "When we reached the path leading to the Gate of Souls, we couldn't go any further because there was a massive torrent. Let's pause for a moment." Dalia guessed that the torrent was likely a manifestation of his inner emotions. Elo nodded in agreement. "It seemed like hatred," he said. "But more than that, it was grief. An overwhelming grief. Perhaps he has a hidden past," Dalia suggested. The scene changed. The next day arrived. Dalia assigned me a new training regimen. "Cleaning." I expressed my gratitude. Then I froze. Had I heard correctly? "You want me to help the mansion staff with cleaning?" I asked. "They'll be attending an important meeting," she explained. Elo bid me farewell. "See you in a week," he said, watching them slowly walk away. Now, I need to use the remaining time to practice cleaning and teleportation. Just then, a voice boomed out. "You're not allowed to use any magic this week. As a precaution, I'm temporarily sealing your magic." I was stunned. Well, I guess I'll just have to clean bit by bit. It'll be good exercise anyway. I immediately started mopping the floor furiously. Suddenly, I stepped on a wet rope on the floor. The next second, I went flying, mop and all, knocking over a vase of flowers on the table. I landed hard on the ground. Too careless, I didn't dodge. At that very moment, a figure quietly appeared behind me. "Are you sure you're cleaning?" It was a vase the Tower Master treasured dearly. Before this, Dalia had instructed me to follow the caretaker's arrangements. Oh no. I quickly apologized for accidentally breaking the vase. But the caretaker didn't seem to blame me. He knew I couldn't use magic for a week. "So we'll start with the basics," he said. "From now on, you'll follow my instructions." I diligently started cleaning. Under his watchful eye, he pointed out many spots I'd missed. He pointed them all out. I thought he wouldn't notice the stains up there. After an afternoon of cleaning, I was exhausted. Cleaning was no easier than training. But with the strict caretaker, it felt more like mental training. Just then, the caretaker announced, "It's lunchtime." I was just about to take a break when suddenly a terrifying look appeared on his face. Seeing this, I was startled. I quickly stood up and, following the screen's transition, found myself in the dining hall. I didn't expect to see so many people here. Just then, an elderly man interrupted me and asked for my name. Upon learning my last name, the old man's expression changed. Did he know something about me? Then he complimented me, saying, "Young man, you're quite handsome." I was taken aback. No one had ever said that to me before. Even the maid standing nearby nodded in agreement. At that moment, a large man came up behind me and said, "Let me see how tough you are, kid." That scared me. Faced with this situation, I felt a deep inner conflict. Because before I was always alone. Once a 3-ring mage, now reduced to a mere laborer. If I could still use magic, a trivial task like this would be finished in no time. After an afternoon of hauling goods, it was time for dinner. Without realizing it, I picked up a beer. As I was gulping it down, the old man noticed me. He then slapped me on the back, and I spewed out all the beer I had just drunk. I was completely confused. The old man gestured, reminding me that I was still a student. "Drinking isn't good for you at your age," he implied. I had forgotten I was a student. I was still stuck in the mercenary mindset. The old man poured some more beer into the glass. Let me teach you how to drink properly, he said. With a view like this, therefore drinking is a sin. After a long day's work, this is the only time they are truly free. The setting sun is beautiful, but it's also fleeting. Meanwhile, a voice interrupted their manager. He had brought some snacks to celebrate their newest member. This time was enjoyable for LaSalle, because in his life as a mercenary, he had to be wary of everyone around him. After all, many people had their own hidden agendas. But now, everyone made him feel a warmth and relaxation he had never experienced before. The scene changes to the next day. After a few days together, he was much more relaxed. Although he was busy and tired every day, working with everyone was truly enjoyable. I can't believe it's already the last day. You seem to really like this place. I turned around and saw Mrs. Alara, the caretaker. She could tell something was weighing heavily on Russell's mind. Is there something bothering you? She asked. No, not really, I replied. Just thinking about my family. They're very far away. I thought mages didn't have any worries, she said. But I guess that's not realistic. You've been through a lot, haven't you? Tomorrow's your last day cleaning, she reminded me. Give it your all until the very end. I don't understand magic, she confessed. But I think you're a good person, even if you don't become a great mage. You can still be a great worker. Because you're a very hard worker. The scene changed. The next day, Dalia returned to the castle. I then stepped forward to greet him. So how was your week? He asked. It was quite good, I replied. He then mentioned that he had something to discuss with me. Meanwhile, I also learned that, after their meeting, they had searched for some medicinal herbs for Elo. They had spent quite a bit of time on this task. Because elven magic is quite unique, Daria then explained that he had also looked into the archives. He found that this villa used to belong to the Raymond family. Hearing this, I lowered my head. So there's a torrent within your heart. That's why you can't reach the soul gate, he said. Have you suffered some injustice? Or is there something that saddens you? LaSalle nodded at this. I think it all started when I saw you in the library. Back then, you were so dedicated to learning magic. You're always alone. I know you want to rebuild your family, but I won't give it to you for free. Hearing this, I quickly responded, I'll find a way to earn the money and get it back. Dalia said, Don't worry. My suggestion is, you could become a mage at the Flame Tower. That way you can earn money faster. And then buy it back. So work hard. Until then, I'll keep it safe for you. The scene changes to nighttime. Elo said, During the last guidance session, I didn't awaken your soul. This time I will lead you to the gate. But at this moment, I was deeply worried about him getting hurt again. Elo reassured me, Don't worry, because this time I've prepared a lot of medicinal herbs. So let's begin. Guided by Yahello, I slowly closed my eyes. The next second, he appeared in my consciousness. When I looked at myself, is this the magic power within me? Let's head toward the gate, Yahello said. Led by Yahello, I arrived at the gate he mentioned. The torrent was still there, still difficult to navigate. It was hard to reach the end. I stepped forward to try. Yahello warned me it was dangerous. The next second, I was knocked back by the torrent. Even a soul could be injured. Just then, a voice pierced my mind. Graduation from the Academy Tower. It's rebuilding my family. Oh, and avenging my father. The voice brought excruciating pain. Damn it, I have to stay awake. Yahello encouraged me to get up. Just then, a voice snapped me back to reality. Starly and Auntie Manager. You are a strong person, but we also want you to know that you're not fighting alone. Before coming back here, I had never felt anyone's care. The mockery and insults from my classmates, being expelled by the academy instructors. But this time, I have friends. Everyone is so caring and helpful towards me. So I can't let them down. I believe I can overcome this. With that, I walked straight towards the torrent. This time I won't back down, even if I fall, because I'm not alone. Meanwhile, Elo couldn't believe his eyes. He had vanished into the river. The mythical Supreme Divine Dragon has become my spirit pet. Because of its unique color, I named him Sausage. Before this, Elo watched as Russell disappeared into the river. But in the next second, he couldn't believe his eyes. Russell had appeared on the opposite bank. This meant he had not only crossed the raging current, but also overcome the emotional barrier he'd carried for years. Looking at the gate before him, Elo wondered, What should I do next? Just then, a voice startled him. It's all right, because our minds are still connected. We can still communicate with each other. It was Russell. Now listen to me. Reach your hand into the gate. In the next moment, Elo found himself inside. Feel the presence within. Russell's voice guided him. The gods will choose their inheritors. As Elo focused, He felt something. Countless eyes were watching him. You might not be chosen by them. All we can do now is wait. Everything feels eerily quiet. If I'm not chosen, it's okay, because I've done my best. Just then, a massive red dragon coiled around me. I could feel an incredibly powerful magical energy flowing. Could it be a deity? Suddenly, I felt a burning heat emanating from my hand. It erupted in a blinding light. When I slowly opened my eyes, a red dragon stood before me. Is this the deity that chose me? Seeing this, I was overjoyed, assuming Jiantiiluo refers to the speaker. Dalia said there were more benefits to come, which confused me. When I looked at my body, I was astonished to find I had become a fourth circle magician. And you've even mastered teleportation. It seems you overcame the obstacles in your heart, which is why your level has increased. Meanwhile, the mission panel notified me that due to reaching the fourth ring, I've received an additional reward. The little red dragon flew up from my hand and then happily landed on my head. Yahello said that this isn't an ordinary soul. The scent on him is unique. Once he grows up, he will be a terrifying being. So now I can give him a name and complete the final contract signing. So what should I call him? I held him up, observing his bright red body. Could I call him Grilled Sausage? Everyone was startled at this suggestion. Then I said I was just joking. The little red dragon breathed a sigh of relief. After all, I am a supreme red dragon, he thought. After a moment's hesitation, I asked, how about Little Chili? The little red dragon smiled happily. He seemed pleased with the name. Everyone else relaxed as well. They agreed that it was much better than the previous suggestions. Dalia then announced, now we will begin the true special training. Yahello suggested intensifying the mental training sessions. I expressed my excitement for this. Everything was progressing smoothly. I also welcomed my new partner, Little Chili. A month passed by in a flash. Today was the day for the tower selection of students. The deans revealed their greedy expressions. They only cared about how many students would be chosen. As for the rest, they were indifferent. It was all for the sake of the school. Hubert was speechless. How could these people have the nerve? They were utterly shameless. Representatives from all 4 towers of the kingdom had arrived, namely the White Tower, the Yellow Tower, the Spear Tower, and the Flame Tower. When the Flame Tower's examiner appeared, the students broke out in a cold sweat. He emitted a terrifyingly intense aura. Hubert was also startled at the sight. Why would he be here? Could his master have sent him as an examiner? If it was him, then LaSalle's chances were slim. Meanwhile, someone was moving swiftly through the air, flying straight towards the academy. Just then, the examiner sensed someone approaching. He turned around and saw that it was a student. As expected, using it continuously, instantaneous movement takes a lot of energy. But thankfully, I made it to the selection in time. Just then, I sensed someone watching me. When I looked, it was him, the one who killed Ursin. Then he just turned and walked away. Meanwhile, he was incredibly excited. He had found someone interesting. The class dunce scored first in the entire school. The other students were in disbelief, but they didn't know I'd taken this test countless times. Before this, I said goodbye to the Tower Master and the others. I can't believe a whole month has passed already. Thank you all so much for your support and help. And to you too, Madam Caretaker. I promise I'll come back again. I figure by then, I'll be the owner of this place. So please take good care of it. It's hard to say goodbye to everyone, but I look forward to seeing you all again. Dalia has a carriage prepared for me. I expressed my gratitude. Then I mentioned that the selection trials were fast approaching, so I thought it would be quicker if I ran. Just then, he asked me for a small favor. He then took out an envelope and asked me to deliver it to Professor Hubert. I assured him I would deliver it to the professor immediately. He wished me good luck. The scene changed to me in the professor's office. He seemed relieved to see me. After taking the letter, the professor's expression became tense. He said that I would be on my own from now on, as he had an urgent matter to attend to. I told him to take care of the urgent matter first. He said, but there are a few things I must warn you about. Don't underestimate Ursin. You need to be at your best. And that means more than just trying your hardest. I believe you can handle it. After a month of special training, this time I will succeed. The scene shifts to the first round of the exam. This isn't difficult for me. Before I returned, I failed several times. If there's anything to worry about, it's the letter the master gave him. After this, Professor Hubert's assignments became increasingly mundane. It got so bad he almost couldn't teach at the academy anymore. And while he was on vacation, news of his death arrived. I don't know what happened. This could be a very dangerous mission. Perhaps only the higher-ups in the Flame Tower know. So, before anything else, I need to join the Flame Tower. The scene changes. The exam results have been posted. The other students are in disbelief. LaSalle has achieved first place. Now all that's left is the second test. If I pass the interview, I'll officially become a candidate. I remember before I returned, the examiner wasn't Urson. It seems I've changed the course of history. Perhaps by joining the Flame Tower, I can change Hubert's fate. But before that, I need to gain their approval here. The interview questions are easier than the disdain questions. Because of this, many students let their guard down, but they don't know these are traps set by the examiners. Because in the second stage of testing, there's another hidden test. That is to withstand the examiner's suppression. Before, I couldn't last a single breath here. Because of my physical limitations, I couldn't channel the law. But this time, the outcome will be different. After answering the final question, the other examiners seemed satisfied with my performance. Because while I was answering, they had already released a subtle pressure. But Wilson didn't think so. Suddenly, he unleashed an incredibly strong pressure. In an instant, I felt like 1,000 pounds of weight were crushing me. The other examiners were terrified when they saw this, but he felt it wasn't enough. The madman made his move. If this continued, the candidate might die, because they all felt like they couldn't breathe. When he looked at me, he couldn't believe his eyes. I was completely calm. My composure was astonishing. Even the newly appointed professor felt a pang of sympathy. It seems we have a promising candidate this year. Wilson hadn't expected a student to withstand his subtle pressure. It thrilled him. Now then, let's see how you handle this. In an instant, the pressure intensified several-fold. I'm still holding on. I gritted my teeth. He continued to increase the pressure. Suddenly, the other examiners interrupted his test. They didn't want to risk losing such a rare talent. Wilson looked disappointed. He hadn't even gotten serious yet. My hands were trembling uncontrollably. Just how strong is he? I wondered. The 3 academy professors breathed a sigh of relief. Another examiner gestured to me. You did well. You can wait for the results outside now. Outside, I collapsed into a chair, because I almost fainted. Now I can finally breathe a sigh of relief. I think I should be able to get a decent score. The man with a fierce and intimidating face often found himself in tears. As a military commander, he had witnessed the tragic deaths of too many soldiers. Just moments ago, the other examiners learned that Russell was a student trained by the Flame Tower Master. His performance was exceptional, but unfortunately, he was assigned to the Flame Tower. Just then, the White Tower examiner remarked, Ulson, as the youngest high-ranking mage, shouldn't you be in charge of the army now? Ulson was quite displeased by this comment. He hated being called young. Seeing his reaction, the examiner quickly said he was just joking. They had no idea. Why is Wilson always so serious? Why is he so strict about everything? Because he knows that stopping some people is actually saving their lives. He's seen too many students die before his eyes, even if their grades were excellent. In the face of war, everyone is incredibly fragile. He won't go easy on them just because they're young. Before they go to the battlefield, Wilson wants them to understand just how small they are. Only by recognizing their own shortcomings can they become truly strong. The scene shifts to the final day of the exam. I will now begin the 3rd round of selection testing. This test is a treasure hunt. Students need to search the dense forest of Walker Mountain and find the green magic stones hidden within. The number you collect will determine your ranking. At the same time, we can also steal other people's mages. With the judge's order, the exam officially began, even if I passed the 3rd screening. Will I be able to gain Uruson's approval? He seems like a very strict person, but I guess he must have his reasons. Now I have no choice but to do what I can. I then went to a deserted place. I figured he must be bored by now. A flame ignited in my hand. Since using magic is forbidden on academy grounds, I had to keep it within my summoning space. When Little Pepper came out, she clung to me. Immediately after, I took the exam crystal out of my storage space. Hopefully it would be of some help to me. Seeing this, Little Pepper sniffed the scent of the Golden River. Then she flew off in one direction. As magical creatures, they can sense treasures, and even the faintest traces of magical energy. Just then, Little Chili seemed to pick up the scent of the magic stone. He happily moved towards it. Little did he know, someone had already laid a trap there. Meanwhile, at a trading post, the owner was being threatened by a masked figure. Now tell me, where did the mages go? The owner frantically claimed he didn't know. They just bought some alchemy, supplies. Unbeknownst to the owner, those people were wicked cultists. Who knows how many will suffer, because of what they summon. Hearing this, the owner paled. If you're still hiding something, that would be considered treason against the Empire. So tell me everything you know now. The barkeep then explained he only overheard snippets of a conversation. He said a man was following a woman. The man had a student with him. He wanted to burn the young one alive, because they already knew his identity. It seemed the name was Raven. The masked figure quickly took action. If Yi Jiao held a grudge against the instructor, he would definitely seek revenge. But fighting against the fawning mage would prove incredibly difficult. So now, all suspicion fell upon LaSalle. Damn it, they must have set up an ambush by now. The entire examination was in jeopardy. The scene shifts to the examination site. A student was contemplating how to find the magic instructor because he couldn't use light magic. Doing so would reveal his location. Just then, a distant shadow caught his attention. He quickly launched a wind blade, but unexpectedly, the shadowy figure collapsed. Seeing this, he turned and ran. Could I have hurt someone else? He wondered. A moment later, he stopped. Maybe that guy had a lot of magic with him, he thought. But when he looked back, he didn't see anyone. Little did he know. A puppet soldier had appeared behind him. Making him turn around only resulted in a scream. Meanwhile, I was making my way through the dense jungle. I figured I must have reached the heart of the forest, and Pepper led me to the magic stones. But what was strange was why all the magic stones were gathered here. But regardless, Pepper did a good job. A puppet core nearby caught my eye, and it was damaged. It seems he was destroyed before the magic elephant could even be summoned. Could he have encountered some insurmountable danger? The next second, an attack hurtled towards me. Little Chili had already sensed the approaching danger. As I looked, I realized, was it already too late to dodge? The man arrived at the heart of the forest, but he discovered that the gold stones, which should have been scattered everywhere, were piled together in one spot. Unexpectedly, it was a trap. Stone pillars suddenly erupted from the ground, using my left hand as a pivot. I quickly swung my body around. That was close. Before I could even catch my breath, several beams of light appeared behind me. Exhausted, I frantically fired back, but I managed to dodge them all safely. It seems these guys aren't alone. Just then, several energy blasts attacked from behind. Little Chili reacted swiftly, spitting out a stream of dragon fire to neutralize the attack. Not bad, Pepper, I said, acknowledging her good work. Now it's my turn to fight back. I quickly summoned a flaming arrow with my bow. In an instant, it pierced through the magic orb. The explosion sent smoke billowing everywhere. What are these guys up to, I wondered. As the smoke slowly cleared, 3 figures emerged from the haze. Looks like they are also candidates for the magic tower, I realized. They seemed panicked, like they were hiding something. Hey, I called out. Is sneaking around and attacking people from behind all you can do? Just then, their leader gestured and asked, how did you know about this place? Only the 3 of them were supposed to know about this location, but I had somehow found it first. At that moment, they noticed Pepper beside me. It's actually a soul creature. That's how he found the Golden River so quickly. They didn't expect me to have so many hidden tricks up my sleeve. I then said, being the first to discover it isn't that big of a deal. It's you guys, though, who seem to think I shouldn't have uncovered these earth-shattering secrets. Hearing this, they were startled. Let me guess, I continued. You have a secret deal with some instructors, right? Their reactions confirmed my suspicions. But I'm not interested in your dealings. So get out of my way. Seeing his secret exposed, he attacked me in the next second. I instantly teleported behind him. Careful or I'll snap your rubber band. And shoot out your windows, I taunted. The other 2 were stunned. Teleportation? This is a high-level magic skill, one that not even high-ranking mages can easily grasp. Just then, Little Chili sensed something was wrong and let out a warning cry. When I looked towards the forest, I saw many things rapidly moving towards us. I immediately asked them if the magic elephant Golden River on the ground was something the professor had made easy for them. They said the professor only told them the location. The other 2 also found it strange. After all, the magic elephant was the true test. It seemed some other mutation had occurred. I had a very bad feeling. Suddenly, all the birds around us were startled awake. Something had surrounded us. The next second, a horde of undead appeared. I was shocked. Why would these creatures be here? The 3 of them froze. Are we doomed? He tried to escape, but stopped in his tracks. They were already surrounded. Just then, I unleashed a wall of fire. This should buy us some time, but we need to work together. Meanwhile, I told them, if you want to survive, you'll listen to me. Each of you guard one direction. Show me your resolve. The 3 of them nodded in agreement. The undead charged straight into the firewall, but it didn't stop them, and my magic was limited. To stop the undead horde, We needed to find the necromancer, and not far away, several mages were watching them. Let's see how long you can last. You flame tower brat. A small ring made the necromancer instantly cloak himself, and this ring pointed the man in the right direction. He held his flaming spear, charging up his power. He lunged straight toward the enemy's position. Although they put up a defense, the necromancer in front of him was instantly vaporized. As the man prepared to finish him off, he did something completely unexpected, even to his own allies. It turned out they had set a trap at the examination site. Although I conjured a flame shield, it still couldn't stop the necromancer's advance. I know this kind of competitive magic is only used by those disciples of these people are nothing but evil. They were supposed to have been wiped out by Dalia in the past. Could these be the remaining remnants? What are they doing here? Are they after me? But I've never had any conflict with them. Damn it, more importantly, I need to focus on the undead in front of me. The magic they're using is a type of assembly magic. Its main characteristic is low mana consumption. The longer this drags on, the worse it will be for me. I have to be mindful of my own mana usage. I signaled to the others. We need to use our mana efficiently. Reduce your firepower. Aim for their vital points before attacking. The blonde kid is still delusional, believing that if we can just hold out until the examiner arrives, we'll be saved. But he's being naive. I said that the inspectors probably wouldn't come, because they wouldn't be able to detect anything from here. From the magic tower in the capital city, they haven't noticed this evil energy. They've likely used magic to erase the traces of mana. This trap was laid from the very beginning. So now we can only rely on ourselves. Hearing this, Greenie panicked. If that's the case, everything we do will be in vain. But the other two followed my instructions. Reduce the mana of the energy blasts, I commanded. Compress their size. Make them sharper. Yahello then gathered his orbs of light into one, powerful enough to destroy them. Rather than giving up and waiting to die, we might as well fight with everything we have. The heretics in the distance were stunned. They couldn't believe we still knew how to conserve mana. It must be that damn brat. Just like that old woman's apprentice. However, what if they can't maintain? So their physical strength? How will they cope? Meanwhile, we sense powerful magic approaching. A massive monster is heading straight for us. The firewall doesn't even phase it. Damn it, it's a troll. We reacted quickly, and both of us unleashed our skills. Even though all of our attacks landed, they didn't even scratch him. He just kept roaring, then swung his massive hammer, straight at the blonde guy. Just then, I wielded a blazing spear, thrusting it deep into the troll's chest. Its body was instantly pierced through. In a blink, it went limp. The control crystal in the cultist's hand vanished into thin air. Seeing this, the two were stunned. How could someone possess such terrifying power? He took down the troll with a single blow. The three of them were momentarily speechless. That blazing spear, it must be at least tier 5. Could he really be a student from the same academy as us? Meanwhile, a distant commotion caught my attention. It was Little Chili. Had he discovered something? I saw him circling in the air. I knew this was Little Chili's signal to me. I began to gather my energy, knowing that when I got close to them, they're bound to notice. So before they realize their position's been compromised, I have to strike first. They've been attacking me for so long. Now it's my turn to fight back. After channeling my energy, I hurl the spear in their direction. They'll only know their cover's blown when they see it coming. And by then it'll be too late to dodge! He quickly casts a necromancy spell, summoning a horde of undead to block the spear. But it's all for naught, because the spear melts through his summoned undead in an instant. Damn it, it didn't work. He immediately summons an ancient golem. The next second, a massive explosion echoes from the distance. Billowing flames erupt into the sky. Did it work? As the smoke slowly clears, one person was grabbed by the throat and used as a shield for another. They didn't expect me to have such a powerful killer move. Looks like I'll have to use that asterisk technique. I thought I'd be saving it for the judges, but I guess it's going to be used on you instead. I was also stunned to see the skeleton soldiers taking several students hostage and forcing them towards us. Damn it, is there no way to counterattack? That man can dye his hair with lightning and not get electrocuted, all because of this little ring. The bald guy over there wasn't so lucky. After being baptized by lightning, he's now crispy on the outside and tender on the inside. Meanwhile, Huber rushed into the conference hall. He was there looking for Wolson. So is your mission over? Hubert's words stirred something within him, disrupting the calmness he had momentarily found. The One Church followers are mobilizing. LaSalle and all the examinees are in danger. Those damned bastards! A surge of killing intent erupted from Olsen. They dare to make a move right under my nose? Meanwhile, a one-church follower gloated, issuing threats. If any of you move a muscle, these students will lose their heads. Then I'll turn them into my... I'm trying to figure out a solution. I could try to gag him, prevent him from chanting the spell. But if I fail to stop him, or if he uses instantaneous movement, then everyone here is going to die. Everything you do is futile. You pathetic brats from the burning flame tower. Hearing that, I realized I was their target. It seems I have no choice but to use that move. I was saving it for the strongest enemy. But now I have to use it. I can't believe you would give up your life to save your friends. I just laughed when I heard that. If you're weak, they'll call you weak. If you're strong, they'll try to get close to you. These people are just jealous. The bald man heard the gossip too. So, you're still gonna save these people? You may not understand what I've been through, but this is my responsibility as a mage. The bald man shook his head and chuckled. In a world where the strong devour the weak, playing the righteous hero is nothing but empty talk from cowards. Yeah, I used to hide in the back too, lacking even the courage to kill myself. Since you want to die so badly, I'll send you on your way personally. Then, a skeletal soldier bound my mouth with rope to prevent me from casting spells. The bald man summoned a sword, formed from the illusion of bones in his hand. It's a shame. I won't get to hear your intoxicating screams. He slowly raised the sword, but I wasn't the least bit nervous, because I had a spell that didn't require chanting. I only needed to visualize it in my mind. The Thunder Ring, a bonus reward from last time, can transform into a thundercloud when needed. Its power and abilities will grow stronger as the wielder's strength increases. Just then, the lightning above had finished gathering. The bald man was still unaware, but it was already too late. When he looked back, the sky was illuminated by lightning, revealing several figures. In the next second, I pushed him. Lightning instantly enveloped my entire body, even turning my hair white. A flash of white light erupted, instantly consuming all the skeletal soldiers. A majestic thunderbolt ripped across the sky, like a colossal dragon soaring between heaven and earth. The earth trembled, and all creation lost its color. Moments later, the bald man was electrocuted into silence, and the river of necrotic energy he was channeling collapsed. I didn't expect that brat to have a backup plan, he groaned, collapsing. His surrounding skeletal warriors crumbled as well. It seems everything is resolved. Just then, one of the others rushed over. He couldn't believe I was still able to use artifact magic in such a state. Thank you, I said. I could finally breathe a sigh of relief. No, we should be thanking you, he quickly added. We need to inform the academy instructors immediately. Most of the students are injured. I think, I replied. The instructors will be here soon. My companion is already notifying them. Meanwhile, little Chili was dismantling the enemy's magic formations. He was almost finished. It seemed he had planned everything out in advance. I didn't expect Thunder Street to drain so much of my power. I'll need to be more careful using it next time. Just then, the bald man's body began to slowly move. I will offer my life as a sacrifice. In my death. He then began to chant an incantation. By the time they realized what was happening, it was too late. In an instant, skeletal warriors rose from the ground and lifted him up. The next moment, he transformed into a giant skeletal dragon. Damn it, I forgot to finish him off. The man had merely played with fire, but now grotesque tentacles sprouted from him. His power was amplified as a result. He lunged towards the Death Knight with his flaming spear. Before this, after the necromancer had been struck down, no one expected him to sacrifice his own life. A massive Death Knight suddenly materialized. This Death Knight was above rank 5. Realizing the danger, she immediately urged the other students to take cover behind her spirit. Greenie was the first to run, but then he stopped. He had noticed the spirit stones in the distance. Even facing death, he didn't forget about them. The girl then gestured to LaSalle. What are you waiting for? Run! He's after me. I can't run. I can't avoid this. And I'm the only one who can buy time for the examiners to arrive. Meanwhile, Wilson and Hubert were rushing towards the examination site. He's in no condition to fight that monster. What is he trying to do? Should we just leave him? Lassell quickly summoned a long spear. The monster attacked him. Its massive hand slammed down. His position? LaSalle smoothly moved behind the death spirit. Judging by the power he'd gathered, he wouldn't be able to withstand this attack. As he hurled his spear, a massive shockwave ripped through the area. When the smoke cleared, The death spirit was still moving. Though not a fatal blow, that attack must have hurt. The death spirit had to be suffering. He needed to think of another plan. Just then, the wounds on the death spirit began to rapidly close. Damn, he hadn't expected its regenerative abilities to be so strong. The moment he landed, a tentacle-like thing whipped past his face. It shot towards him, then burst from the ground a second later. It was its tail! A tail, sharp as a blade, lunged towards me. Because of the attack I just used, I'd exhausted a tremendous amount of energy. Now I couldn't dodge. At this critical moment, a binding spell seized the tail. He had come back. You saved our lives just now. I couldn't just leave you behind. Like you said, this is our responsibility as mages. If we abandon even this, then our profession loses all meaning. Hearing this, the others stopped. Are you all crazy? Going back to die? But they didn't answer. Instead, they turned back. When they assembled, I was stunned. I'm so sorry. We're late! Russell didn't expect them to come back. Although this wasn't part of the plan, if we work together, we might be able to defeat him. Since you all want to fight together, I won't stop you. If you want to survive, listen to my commands. I'll create an opening in his defenses. You just need to focus your attacks on that weak point. Just then, I threw my spear again. This time, I aimed for his head. Everyone else's attacks followed closely behind, creating a massive mushroom cloud. But I knew a single blow wouldn't be enough to kill him. As the smoke slowly cleared, half of the wraith's face was gone. But he's regenerating too quickly. We need to hit him again. Russell's magic is completely drained. No matter how hard he tries, he can't summon Fire Blast. Meanwhile, the examiner sent his backup sees the signal. Even the cliff before him can't stop Wilson in his tracks. Moments later, his classmates' attack buys Russell some time. Fueled by their fighting spirit, he summons his flames again. But now, a grotesque tentacle sprouts from his forehead. Now, the lives of every student are in his hands. They could have run, but they chose to fight together. I have to bring everyone back safely. A more powerful flame lance. The students' attacks merged with the flames, heading straight for the necromancer. Would this final strike obliterate the creature? Meanwhile, the man drew a circle on the ground, arrogantly declaring that no one could force him to leave its boundaries. Just as Wilson arrived, he saw his students battling a necromancer. Were they out of their minds? They should be running for their lives. If one fell, the others would surely follow. Suddenly, their combined attack illuminated the entire battlefield. Wilson was stunned. He didn't realize that, even in their vulnerability, if just one of them stood strong, the others would be empowered. Fighting to the death, even a spark can ignite a wildfire. As the smoke gradually cleared, the wraith materialized. Unexpectedly, the heretic was still alive. As he resumed his incantation, the wraith's wounds began to heal. But Ulsan wouldn't give him another chance. A violet flame coalesced in his hand. A cultist, witnessing this, felt a surge of unease, but it was all too late. As Ulsan unleashed the energy, the wraith vanished in the violet flames. Only a large scorch mark remained on the ground. He was obliterated, not even ashes left behind. If you're coming, you could hurry up a bit. Meanwhile, I lost consciousness, my magic depleted. Robert said, "Well done." A rare smile appeared on Wilson's face. When I opened my eyes again, I was back in my room. The first thing I asked was, "Is the monster gone?" Hubert confirmed it. "If it weren't for you," he said, "none of the students present would have made it out alive." "But they helped a lot, too," I replied. "Without them, I wouldn't have been able to handle it alone." Just then, Hubert asked if I was curious about the selection results. I was taken aback. I had completely forgotten about it. "Don't worry," the instructor said. "The examiners will reevaluate the test requirements." Because from the moment that cultist appeared, the test became meaningless. Under these circumstances, teamwork became more important than competition. With that in mind, this is the result all the judges agreed upon. After evaluating the other students, they reached a final decision. And you are the one who achieved the highest score. I'm also somewhat relieved about this. I can finally graduate from the academy. And regarding the cultists of righteousness, their leader has already started investigating this matter. I believe soon we will find the root of all this. Just then I remembered one of the cultists. At that time, 2 people heard this. Hubert suddenly jolted. I think he escaped during our fight. Meanwhile, Wilson also came to visit me and said he had something to discuss with me. But Hubert said I should focus on resting now. I reassured the teacher, "Don't worry, I've almost fully recovered." Then I stepped outside. Ulson asked me if during the fight with the cultists, I felt like those people held me back, because I had to fight alongside those weaker individuals. He believed weakness was a liability, and that belief hadn't changed. I told him I agreed with him to a point. However, no one is born strong. As for the weak, because the strong protect them, they too strive to grow stronger. Back then, no one was left behind. We all took that step forward together. Hearing this, Ulson smiled. That's a good answer. Then he tossed me a package and told me to open it. I was incredibly curious about what was inside. When I opened it, it was a flame tower ceremonial robe. Just then, Wilson told me there was one small test left, but hadn't the selection trial already ended? This is a flame tower tradition, he explained. He drew a circle on the ground. Use any magic you like, he said. If you can force me out of this circle, you win. And I'll give you a small reward. Immediately, I pulled an ultimate magic crystal from my summoning space. You said I could use any magic, I reminded him. The 6th Street High Mage was unexpectedly defeated by a 4th Street punk kid. The overwhelming power he displayed was comparable to an early 6th Street mage. With Urson's consent, Russell unleashed his killer moves without reservation. He combined the blazing spear and the thunder ring, and in an instant, 2 surges of energy hurtled towards Urson. Is this really the power a 4th Street should possess? The scene erupted in a flash of fire and light. Well done, kid. I underestimated you. But that attack was just a feint, using the blind spot created by the previous attack. Pepper had charged up her ultimate move. By the time Urson realized it, it was too late to activate his defense. As the smoke slowly cleared, Urson's feet were forced back several steps. From the force of blocking the attack. Not bad, Urson admitted. After all, he was wearing armor, worthy of a 5th Street. To think he was pushed back by a 4th Street rookie. Meanwhile, the previous attack had provoked Hubert's anger. It made him quite furious. After all, Rasal's body had just recovered. Urson could only offer an awkward explanation. It was just a small test, he said. Rasal responded, I'm sorry for making you worry, instructor. But what neither of them expected was, you actually summoned a soul spirit? That's right, his name is Little Chili. The scene changes to the next day. Rasal presided over the graduation ceremony. He was finally graduating from the academy. His instructor congratulated him. Now they were both members of the Flame Tower. So Hubert said, you can call me senior brother from now on. Then he asked Rasal what his plans were. I want to find a place to live in the imperial capital first. Rasal replied, and then go on a training journey. That's a good idea, Hubert said. Then Hubert offered to sponsor him with housing. Because his contract with the school hadn't expired yet, he couldn't go back just yet. But could this really work? A few days later, of course. Russell started packing his dorm room. Just then, a pop-up alerted him that he'd completed his graduation mission. The reward, a special item, and a high-grade magic crystal. Looking at the blueprint in his hand, he opened it. Sure enough, just like last time. He had to find a marked location and complete a task. This time, the location was Curial Island, a forbidden zone where humans were not allowed. It was teeming with magical beasts, an extremely dangerous place. Mages below rank 6 were at serious risk there. But it also made him curious. What did whoever sent this want from him? Did they simply want him to become stronger? But I suppose it won't hurt me, because only by becoming stronger can I do more, including restoring the Raymond family. The scene changes. We now find ourselves on the road to the imperial capital. Is this your first time going to the imperial capital? Russell says he's been there before. At this moment, Wilson remembers that Russell's last name is Raymond. Meanwhile, Russell asks about Senior Hubert's mission. It's related to the consensus cultists, right? Because he rushed back at that time. Wilson confirms this. Hubert's mission was to pursue the consensus cultist organization. Then can I participate in this mission? This takes Wilson by surprise. Are you serious? But to say he was bluffing would be impossible with such a determined look in his eyes. Wilson is quite pleased with Russell's performance. A real man should have lofty ambitions, so he will consult his master. LaSalle expressed his gratitude for this. But first, you must master the magic I bestowed upon you. Before we reach the imperial capital, his name is Neon Quan. It's a one-hit knockout technique. The boy threw a single punch, and a massive hole erupted in the mountainside. This is a one-hit kill spell. By focusing your magical power to a single point, just like a slingshot, you gather all the energy at one point, and then release it. After listening, Russell seemed to understand the principle. He immediately began to practice. Moreover, he developed a new cultivation method. Fusion. He would fuse his innate magic, amplifying the destructive power of his skills. He then attempted his first casting. As the smoke slowly cleared, a massive crater appeared before him. For him to master it in such a short time was completely beyond Urson's expectations. He hadn't expected Russell to combine his own innate magic with the Flame Tower. He'd never encountered such talent since joining the Flame Tower. Russell, too, was astonished. I didn't expect it to consume so much magic power and physical strength. Regarding this, Wilson explained, the consumption after using enhancement is substantial. So be very careful after using it. Russell realized, if that's the case, then using it against a strong opponent is very risky. Wilson nodded in agreement, but it's not always like that. The best defense is a good offense. As you said, you never know when there will be someone stronger than you. However, the strong always underestimate the weak. The moment they let their guard down, your cunning plan will decide who wins. Upon seeing Dalia, Russell thanked her again. This is also the result of your own hard work. Meanwhile, the old man standing to the side was Hemingway, the tower master of the Mo Tower. Melville, the other man, was his disciple, Alan Page. I'd like to know, why did you choose to meet today of all days? Is it to show off a disciple you took on in your later years? Dalia affirmed his suspicion. At this moment, Russell also recognized Alan, who was standing beside them. In just a few short years, he had become the youngest high-ranking 8-ring mage. In Russell's past life, Alan had helped him greatly. He never thought they would meet again in this way. Both Tower Masters were boasting about their own disciples. Tolson was already used to this. As he spoke, the two men's magic power collided. Neither would yield to the other. Just then, Alan interrupted them. He then smiled and apologized profusely. You must miss the old days, I presume. He then gestured to the teacher. At this rate, we'll be making a trip to the royal palace. He finished his thought. Then Alan stepped forward and greeted LaSalle. It's a pleasure to meet such a young Tier 4 mage. LaSalle proposed an idea. Perhaps we could exchange magical knowledge. Wilson was surprised. This brat, he thought. Hemingway burst out laughing. Let's see what arrogant tricks you have up your sleeve. Suddenly, magical power enveloped LaSalle. Could this be Master Mota's power, someone wondered? It felt like being submerged in an ocean. Master Mota then gestured to Dalia. Let's make a wager. Dalia was intrigued. I'll bet that in 5 years your disciple will surpass mine. I'll give you one of my artifacts. That's quite an offer. A mythical era item, existing from an artifact from the forgotten mythical era. Even the weakest of divine artifacts possesses power close to a 7-ring mage. Then Dalia said something that made Hemingway completely forget about it. If my disciple doesn't surpass yours within 3 years, then forget about this divine artifact. So these are your words? Don't blame me then. You can't say I didn't warn you. Dalia was incredibly confident. Before that happens, you better get your divine artifact ready. With that, the two of them left. Alan was extremely curious. Master, are you really going to wager a divine artifact? His master replied, You're all still too young. You just need to focus on defeating him with all your might. Alan understood his master's intentions, so I have to play my part well. Let's see what the descendant of the Raymond family is made of. Just how powerful he could become. Meanwhile, Wilson was also curious about Alan's actions. Do you know Alan? He asked. This prune had been on display in the museum for 79 years. Everyone thought it was just an ordinary stone, but a man gazed at it with sparkling eyes. Finally, I've found you, he said. My treasure, right after my meeting with the Mota Lord. The meeting concluded. Wilson then relayed LaSalle's request to Dalia. He asked for her help in investigating the heretics case. Dalia immediately presented all the information they had gathered. We've located them, she revealed. They're in Sudra, a neutral city outside our jurisdiction. They had discovered traces of the heretics. The heretics were hiding in a neutral city beyond their authority. Sudra, a place LaSalle, with his mercenary background, knew well. It was a haven for criminals. It seems they've chosen a good location, and Dalia knew that Russell had fought them before. He had some understanding of them. But young man, they'll summon terrifying undead, just like last time. So, do you still insist on accepting this mission? But Russell's gaze was firm. He showed no sign of backing down. He had done so much to investigate this case. As a member of the Flame Tower, I won't hesitate. Dalia had expected Russell wouldn't give up, so she agreed to his request. Russell was overjoyed. He was one step closer to solving Professor Hubert's case. The scene changed. He was on his way home. He looked at the potion the Tower Master had given him. Russell was in disbelief. Before returning, this was something he couldn't have even imagined. Meanwhile, as he looked out the window, 11 castles caught his attention. It was that place, the Louvre Museum. He then went to where the dragon heart was located. This was where he time-traveled from. Russell had been wondering this whole time why this miracle had happened to him. And finally, he had his answer. It was to allow him to grow strong enough. Just then, a window suddenly appeared. Mission: protect the dragon heart. Reward: unknown. Mission 2: successfully utilize the power of dragon painting. Reward: 3 ultimate magic crystals. This mission, however, seemed quite difficult, because only those who contribute to the country are granted items that belong to the royal family. But it's not impossible. But what is this dragon painting technique? As he pondered this, in the next moment, he felt a surge of power coursing through him. Is this the dragon painting technique? It feels similar to the last time. At the same time, he noticed his reflection in the mirror. He saw that his appearance had changed somewhat. Could using dragon painting change one's form? A moment later, he returned home. But he couldn't use that power at will. Could it be that it can only be used in times of crisis? If he could control the dragon painting technique freely, his combat power would be greatly enhanced. If he could use disgust under the influence of the dragon painting technique, the power released might reach level 6. But the problem is, he doesn't know how to master it yet. Meanwhile, little Chili Pepper seemed to sense LaSalle's distress. An idea immediately popped into her head. She couldn't wait to tell him, but LaSalle was still lost in his thoughts and paid her no mind. How can I experience that sense of danger? Chili Pepper was furious that LaSalle was ignoring her. In the next moment, she let out a ferocious roar. That's for ignoring me. Seeing Chili Pepper's reaction, LaSalle asked, "Are you saying you have a way to help me?" Chili Pepper nodded in affirmation. Then she flew onto LaSalle's head. He felt a wave of dizziness wash over him. When he opened his eyes again, he found himself in a mindscape. It was the place where he first met Chili Pepper, and it was the perfect place to practice magic, because the flow of time inside is different from reality. The next moment, a gigantic red dragon suddenly appeared. This startled LaSalle. Could the next one be Little Chili? He wondered. Then Little Chili lowered her head. But how should I train? She asked. Refine, do I have to fight you? Just then, LaSalle noticed the creatures nearby. These are all, Little Chili began. Training partners she found for me. It seems I've grown too comfortable. They must be quite formidable. All right then, I'll leave it to you all. The boy simply ordered an 82 cocktail. The mercenary scoffed at him, but the bar owner froze. It was a top-secret code. Not daring to delay, the owner immediately activated a soundproof spell. The tavern owner was actually an undercover mage sent by the Flame Tower. Afterwards, he informed LaSalle about what had happened. Not long ago, a small team had discovered the whereabouts of the heretics. He didn't want to miss this opportunity. After saying goodbye to Jack, he went to investigate. However, 3 days later, contact with them was lost. Seeing this, the tavern owner immediately reported to Flame Tower headquarters. Meanwhile, LaSalle was cultivating within Little Chili's spiritual realm. Thanks to this realm, LaSalle had mastered the dragon drawing technique in just a week. Although it had only been a week, within the spiritual realm, it was equivalent to several months of cultivation. Empowered by the dragon drawing technique, his understanding of fire attributes had deepened. However, there were still many problems. The first was that the enhancement duration was very short. The power of the dragon's roar only lasts for 15 seconds. Second, there are significant side effects after using it. Just like the Wild Goose Fist, you'll be completely defenseless after using it. 1 week later, Russell arrived at Sudra, the city where the heretics were located. He had barely stepped into town when he was targeted. It truly lived up to its reputation as a paradise for criminals. In no time at all, several thugs blocked his path. Well, what have we here, little fella? Are you lost? Want your uncle to show you the way? Russell was just looking for someone to ask for directions. He hadn't expected someone to offer so readily. In that case, I'll have to trouble you, gentlemen. Moments later, screams echoed from the alleyway. Thanks to their enthusiastic guidance, Russell quickly arrived at the Flame Tower's base. After Russell had subdued them with his virtue, the group became much more polite. Russell then signaled that they could leave. As expected, fists speak louder than words. Seeing Russell, the owner greeted him warmly and asked him what he would like to drink. Russell responded with the secret code, and an 82 cocktail, mixed with a Briggs. Hearing this, the others burst into laughter. Where did this kid come from? Does he want a 72 proof cocktail? Russell ignored them. This was the Flame Tower's secret code. Idiot! No one would mix those two things together.
Is more deadly than poison.
Meanwhile, the owner was stunned. He hadn't expected the investigator sent by the Flame Tower to be a child. He then activated a soundproofing spell. It turned out the owner was planted in Sudra's establishment by the Flame Tower. Jackson was specifically responsible for relaying intelligence. After connecting with him, Russell requested a change of location. There were too many eyes and ears here. A moment later, Jackson revealed that 3 days ago a small team entered the desert ruins and disappeared. They were well-trained, not the type to fall for ordinary traps. And Russell directly requested a map of the desert from him. But Jackson seemed to doubt Russell's abilities and warned him that it was near the Empire's border, a very dangerous area. Russell saw his concern and released a subtle pressure. "Do you think I'm not capable?" he asked. This startled Jackson, sending a shiver down his spine. He had recently heard that Russell had reached the 4th cycle, but this pressure felt like at least the 5th cycle. Jackson quickly apologized. "I was reckless, my apologies." He then gave Russell directions to the desert ruins. In this world, it seemed, power truly commanded respect. Meanwhile, the cultists intentionally left a trail, waiting patiently for the Flame Tower's fish to take the bait. The boy simply activated his defense, and it obliterated the entire death squad. He then located the hidden enemy, because within his defense, he'd incorporated not just the necklace's offensive power, but also a reconnaissance spell. After obtaining a map of the desert from Russell, he set off alone. To his surprise, this desert was much hotter than usual. "It seems I'll need to practice my ice magic more in the future." He then found a bunker in the center of the desert. Russell decided to observe first. He then began to investigate the building. After circling it, he discovered the building had many entrances, all leading towards the enemy. It was very likely they had already set traps. If my mission was just to find the relic, I could just destroy these ruins and force them out. But the captured scout might be inside. I can't do that. So they've set a trap to force me inside. Russell then leaped into the air. That's right. He planned to enter through the bunker's skylight. In just a moment, Russell was inside. A gust of wind magic lifted him, and he landed smoothly on the ground. To his surprise, there were no traps. Just then, a mural on the wall caught his eye. It depicted not only a dragon, but also a warrior in armor. But their opponent remained a mystery, lost to the fragmented artwork. Suddenly, a laugh interrupted him. "You finally made it! I can't believe you actually tracked this place down all by yourself from the academy." Then, 2 undead warriors emerged from a nearby doorway. "Since you've come this far on your own, it saves me the trouble of finding you. To show my gratitude, I sentence you to death!" Russell didn't know where he found the courage. "After all, you've come all this way." Anyone can boast and brag. The cultist was already prepared. Before him were the bodies of elite soldiers fallen in battle. They were far stronger than those from the last trial. He believed victory was already in his grasp. Begin your journey to the afterlife. But he overlooked one crucial factor: Russell's rapid growth. In a flash, Russell moved. Seeing this, the cultist was surrounded. He assumed it was the same magic as before. But he didn't know that in this short time, Russell's power had undergone a fundamental change. During this period, he hadn't just mastered dragon transformation magic, but also experimented with other fusion spells. And his defensive magic, it had been completely revamped. He incorporated a vector formula into it, allowing the firewall to not only defend, but also attack. In a mere instant, it devoured his army of the undead, reducing them all to ashes. The cultist was stunned. When did he become so powerful? Lazar then discovered the cultist's hiding place. "Found you," he said. Hearing this, the cultist's heart leaped. "Don't tell me. He added reconnaissance magic to the flames?" Lazar finished. Seeing the situation turn sour, the cultist immediately tried to flee, but it was too late. In the next instant, Lazar appeared before him, sending him flying with a single punch. Lazar then approached him, demanding answers about the previous incident. But the cultist refused to yield, but to sacrifice himself. Meanwhile, LaSalle sensed something was wrong. The next moment, 2 more cultists ambushed him from above.